What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Big Think Dimension, the only gaming podcast with really big thinks. I'm your host, Dan Video Games, and with me, as always, it's a godlike co-host, KZ Excellent from KZExcellent.com. How you doing, buddy?
Thank you to our podlords.
Mr. Feel from Mr. Feel's Wild Ride.
I think I had a stroke.
And Bob.
Are you ready to take a big think?
from GigaBoots.com. I hope you all appreciated the mildly better audio quality on the intro song, because I know I did. Yeah, I also know I'm the only one. This was a joke. Anyway.
What?
The new intro. You should listen to it sometime. It's really
I don't
good.
know about that.
It's just going. It's about to fade out, though. Okay, there it goes. There it goes. Anyway, we've got a lot to cover this week.
Yeah.
There were a lot of games. There was a lot of news.
I'm looking at these notes. Yeah, we do.
Somebody let a guy from Gearbox on a stage.
It was raw?
Yeah, it was undercooked. But we gotta get through what?
No, I think it was cooked so hard it exploded at multiple points.
It's just.
Are you sure? Are you sure you want to count down from 47?
It's a 4 times the.
He gave that bitch an out, and she's like, nah, I'm gonna ruin this.
We will talk about this later, because I'm sure it's gonna.
He's very sweaty.
Decent amount of time. We need to talk about.
He was like glistening with ooze. It was uncomfortable.
He was like John Benyaka. It was very weird.
Okay, I like that Johnny V is your fucking reference for oozing and sweating as a human being. That's really great.
I was going to Photoshop the just fuck my shit up hair onto Randy Pitchford from that conference, and then I realized he already had it.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about real quick what we've been playing before we move on to news, because clearly we're bursting at the seams with news. I'll go first, since I know I haven't played a certain game that the three of you have played, and I also haven't played much in the last week. So on Tuesday, Analog came out, or technically Monday in some regions. They shipped it out at a certain date, and when it arrived is when it arrived. Analog, the company that made the Super NT and the NT Mini, came out with the Mega SG, which is a high-quality, lag-free replacement for the Sega Genesis, which works via HDMI. That thing's fucking dope. I've been fucking around with it, and we're doing a live stream roulette the Friday after this recording. This podcast isn't getting out on time. And the audio quality on it is really, really dang good. For those who don't know, in the realm of Sega Genesis's, Model 1 is great audio. Everything else is various levels of dog shit. And I've always owned a Model 2 my entire life, so I didn't realize how good like Genesis music could sound. But it sounds really good coming out of that.
It's sad. I had a Model 1 and it died before we really messed with it much.
Yeah, before we did anything with it.
Yeah.
So I've literally never heard Model 1 in my life until like using this Mega SG, and like, because the deal is the Sega Genesis is like the last console with an actual like proper chiptune sort of audio instead of it being sample based. So it has a very pure sound if you can get a good connection, but you know, Model 2 and the other ones sound really shitty as it turns out. This thing sounds great. I'm loving it just for that angle alone, but it'll also make our Friday Retro Roulette streams a lot easier. I'm going to, spend most of that stream talking about that, but there are already some things that people are working on, like what's the perfect aspect ratio? What's the best volume levels for all these? And our boy Firebrand X is already working on tune settings. So, I'm just going to sit back and relax. He beat me to it on the Super NT, but this time I'm just like, fuck it, it's inevitable. I'll let him do it, and I'll worry about my content until he's done. And that's why I back him on Patreon, so I don't feel guilty about this. But yeah, no, I was playing a conversion, because the just like an actual Sega Genesis, the Mega SG can play Master System games as well as Genesis games. And down the road, they're going to come out with a cartridge adapter so you can play Game Gear games on this thing. But on our EverDrive, I actually have a Master System conversion of Tails Adventure, the most underrated Sonic game there is.
I thought that was Sonic CD. That thing never gets highly rated.
Yeah, no one ever speaks highly of Sonic CD. It's
True, you shit on it all the time.
But Casey, that's because I'm woke and I have objectively correct opinions about it.
No, what you have to do is go to the good future, and then you'll have a higher opinion of it. You're in the bad future right now.
I'm about to just work those sound ditties into my fucking stream deck. That way when
You
we
should do that.
Must you force me to think about Sonic CD this regularly?
I am sorry, everyone.
Look. We haven't done the episode of Give Games a Chance for Sonic CD. That's been like 10 months since we did that. You know, we haven't talked about Sonic CD that much, I think. But, yeah, so...
Talk about it, like, fairly regularly.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Not that regularly. It's not like The Bouncer or Castlevania Curse of Darkness.
Yeah, it doesn't rank compared to a lot of things. It's
All right, Phil,
no
you want to hear
Bouncer.
some bullshit? I decided to rewatch one of the old Kingdom Hearts supercuts in which Dan was convincing me to play The Bouncer, in which he makes the statement, and I fucking lost it in hindsight, of going, honestly, I really can't. Like, I can recommend to you The Bouncer, but I can't recommend Curse of Darkness. And I was like, these power levels that he's giving me are going to give me a stroke.
You know what? I would probably rather play The Bouncer than Curse of Darkness, because The Bouncer's 90 minutes long.
Right.
Yeah, but I feel like the concept of if you're playing The Bouncer, you're beating all three.
No, I didn't. I beat one and then snapped that disc in half.
You too?
Well, I mean, I threw it in the garbage, which is the same energy.
No, that's lazy energy. You need to be like Volt Kruger and crash through that fucking disc.
But yeah, Tails Adventure is a really great game. It's a Metroidvania. It's a Sonic game where you get to play as Tails, and it's a Metroidvania. You get power-ups to level up your health meter. You get all sorts of different items. You can carry 4 items into any level. So your items... Tails' main method of attacking in this game is actually throwing bombs, which is pretty fucking raw. So you get upgrades like remote detonation bombs, so you can set it off in midair, or like throw it down a hole and wait for its momentum to stop and then explode it. You'll get like napalm explosion bombs, which will open up new pathways in certain levels. And then you get other things that are like really cute, like a robot dog. That you can send searching for items and other things. It's really great. Tails Adventure should have come out on anything other than the Game Gear, but unfortunately, it is a Game Gear exclusive. I think it did end up in one of those 2 collections they did in the GameCube generation. Like, what is it? It's like Sonic Gems Plus. Like one of those, you know, where nobody knows what's even on the collection. It's like, what's on this? Sonic the Fighters and Tails Adventure.
Look, Sonic the Fighters
Fighters looks cool.
It's great.
Sonic the Fighters is hilarious. Sonic the Fighters is not great. Sonic the Fighters is not as good as Ergies, and I will now end this segment of the podcast because
I don't know about that. I think that Ergies is a pretty bad fighting game.
You know, compared to Street Fighter Alpha, yeah, actually. But
I mean,
like
compared to a lot of fighting games, that game is not particularly great.
Yeah, my major point on Twitter was just like, when you look at like the PS1 era of 3D fighters, even Soul Blade ran like shit and was clunky as hell. So like for a 3D fighter on the PS1, I would say it's one of the strongest contenders.
I do think it's very strange that some of those characters Square Enix has never brought back for anything. Like the cop girl with yo-yos seems like someone they would have brought back in some context.
I mean, she's just stolen from an old manga.
Yeah, Bob brought that up in that episode of the Weekly Beating for Ergies, which we unfortunately recorded on a PS3, so it's interlaced.
I know. I know.
Who's Benimaru in... is it Benimaru?
Benimaru is a character in King of Fighters with the giant
Yeah,
hair.
I was thinking... Yeah, he's just Polnareff from JoJo. They call him Polnareff internally at SNK.
Yeah, but they gave him lightning powers instead. So different.
Completely different.
Rose in Street Fighter is Lisa Lisa.
Yeah, that's
Obviously,
not
that
even
didn't even
subtle.
change a single
Once
thing.
I fucking watched JoJo's and saw Lisa Lisa, I was upset.
There's so many others too. It's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, my
Like Dr. Wily is just Dr. Kabuto from Getter Robo.
now you're just lying. There's no way my childhood was stolen from something else.
What's Castern?
It's so
What's
funny to go.
What's that?
It's so funny to go read old manga from the 80s and be like, there's a video game character, there's a video game character, there's something they stole, there's a video game character, there's something they stole.
You know, it's funny because this act of just literally lifting shit and working it into your own art used to function as public domain, but we murdered that decades ago. So
Don't worry about it.
So, you know, that's when you just pull the KZ and don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
But the point I was just trying to make on Twitter is, oh man, 3D fighters on the PS1 are really rough. Most of them only barely recognizable as fighting games.
So you know the ninja from Airgees looks like the ninja from the Bouncer.
Yeah.
He does have that energy.
Mhm.
We're going to need to move this podcast along.
Okay. Okay. Hey Bob, you ready for our upcoming podcast, Towball versus Airgees? Versus GT. GT still doesn't win.
Yeah, I mean,
Am I
the
going
GT fighting game.
to have to play Air Geese?
Oh, you've never played Airgees?
Of course not.
It's interesting,
I mean, it
but
doesn't
it's not
have
good.
like a story mode. It has a really weird RPG mode that's completely detached from the fighting game mode.
It
It's
really wasn't in
bizarre.
the mood for story.
It had an arcade mode that had didn't have ending cutscenes or something.
Yeah. The arcade mode has ending cutscenes, but then there's also a dungeon crawler, which is really weird, but I also thought that was cool as shit back in the day.
It has the bizarre, and the apparently the main character is just this dude with a robot leg, because he has a secret thing where you do some shit during the credits and get his real leg back.
Yeah, that's true. You can get your real leg back from the giant sword beast from the end of the intro cutscene.
But you have to like push boxes off posts and shoot them. It's very strange.
A very specific thing, a very secret thing. What was that guy's name? Han Daehan? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, KZ. I know you're an authority on this.
Wait, that guy and not the guys from the dungeon mode. The guy who's
No.
got a robot leg.
We're
in the
all
regular
talking about
game.
the ending of the regular game.
Okay.
Yeah. While you're
Weird.
fighting that weird sword beast thing. But yeah.
Oh,
no.
Bob, you're so right.
But yeah, the whole relationship between Dream Factory and Square is so fucking weird. They're like, make this Toriyama fighter. Okay. I want to make another one. I guess I'll let you do that, but we ain't released that in America. We learned already.
We'll let God bless it.
They released Tobal 1, didn't they?
Yeah.
In the States, they didn't release Airgees, though.
Yeah, they didn't release Airgees. That gen had a real ramp to it, you know? We started the gen with Battle Arena Toshindin's a good game and ended with Airgees is a bad game. Because the standards elevated way fast. It's like, Battle Arena Toshindin's unplayable.
Yeah, no, those are some of the worst. It's not as
Yeah.
bad as GT. It's not as bad as
Nothing's as bad as Final Bout.
Yeah.
Period. Nothing.
The voice acting makes
Wait,
it good.
sorry. Ultimate. You are right.
The voice
why-
acting helped a lot.
That's why I'll always side with Final Bout over Ultimate Battle 22. Because Ultimate
Dream
Battle 22
Factory made the weird ass second Zoid series where it's like a sport.
I can't
What?
process that right now.
like,
You've broken my minds. So we're gonna move
Not
on
again.
to what other people have been playing. Because the Mega SG is great,
Hello.
but Tails Adventure was the highlight. We're gonna go to Bob, who did not say hello. But hey, Bob, what have you been playing?
Hey, Bob.
well, I played Sekiro like the rest of the people, other than Dan. But I also played did something different. I was in the Mortal Kombat beta. I got into that.
Ooh.
So I had some fun. Was it most of the matches I did worked pretty well? I only had like one rough online match.
Yeah, I heard the netcode is really good. NetherRealms has always been really good about
Got to spell with a K, though.
Yeah, okay, we can do that.
Netcode.
Netcode with a K.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good enough that they get that, considering it's better than what any other game currently has.
But it has a weird audio glitch, but that's the only thing I've had trouble with in the demo. Like it'll weirdly make this. It just sounds like it's blowing every instrument or something.
Let me explain. He'll start a match, and where you would expect audio from your opponent or music or anything has been fully replaced with, and then they'll start talking.
Jesus Christ.
And I was fucking losing it, and I kept yelling, remix!
Yeah, no, it's like a rapid record scratch or something.
I think you've sold me on Mortal Kombat 11.
That only comes with the deluxe edition, though. It's a real shame.
I guess I gotta shell out more.
It's only $100. Come on.
It's okay. It comes with the statue of Nathan Drake.
No, that's the $300 one where you get Nathan Drake's statue and this mask from Scorpion. The Nathan Drake statue
The
is really
idea
good.
of Mortal Kombat 11 on a 4K OLED TV sounds pretty good.
Well, let me tell you how it is. It is pretty good.
Yes, it is.
That
It's
game
pretty
is
nice.
That game is amazing looking. NetherRealm is so confoundingly good at making amazing looking games.
And it's not even UE4. It's like a halfway Unreal Engine 3 thing they made.
It's a heavily edited version of Unreal 3 they made, which still cracks me up. It's like, hey Unreal, how do we make a fighting game with Unreal Engine 3? And they're like, you can't. There's no way to get it to 60 frames per second. Oh, Ed Boon did it in 15 minutes.
He did it with
And then
the
Epic is like,
He let his
fucking
eyebrows
boomer
do it.
juice.
And then Epic is like, can you teach us how to make our engine do 60 frames per second?
There is actually one of the Scorpion variants you can get.
Yeah.
Is Ed or Boone's favorite or something. Boone's main. That's it.
Is that what he's called?
Yeah, I
Yes.
saw that in streams.
It's literally called that.
That's
and
good.
You can actually the customization features let you select like different moves to take in, so you can actually have your own setup of like 3 different special moves that you can select from this huge list of other
So
ones.
it's
And
like
you have
a
basic special
more
models as well.
enhanced version of like the modes that characters had in MKX.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do like
Where like
it seems
you
like
could
5
play,
pre-made
you
ones.
could be like Shadow Warrior Johnny Cage, where he uses his shadow balls a lot more, or the stunt double mode where he just had some of Noob Saibot's moves.
Yeah. So you get that, but you get to actually like custom pick which ones are in the sets instead of just being like, oh, this set's always gonna have these 3 moves. And I think it's a pretty neat idea.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing idea. I really like that it is the execution of what that very first reveal trailer made me think.
Yeah,
Of just like, it's everything. Everything that defines Sonya or like Scorpion is here. All the moves, you just figure out how you
Including
want to
Ronda
work them.
Rousey.
NetherRealms is really good about their cinematic trailers having gameplay elements that will be in the final game.
Yeah, it's called making a trailer for your game. More people should try that. It would be
But even the ones where it's total bullshit and this isn't anything close to gameplay, it's still like
right.
the one for MKX had the interactables. The one for MK11 had the weapons and had modes, and it was
because
they're really well crafted trailers beyond anything else, anybody else is doing right now.
Yeah, and then like you can tell they sat down and they're like, how do we do a trailer that showcases the new gimmick for this game? Instead of being like, how do we make a trailer based on our story?
Right.
Which is what a lot of people
Because there's
do.
literally no story in that reveal trailer. It's just Scorpion and Sub-Zero fighting, which is
That's
great.
the fucking awesome thing.
Oh wait, no, it was
It had
great. wasn't
just
it?
enough because it alludes to like the hourglass and the time stuff.
Yep.
But the rest of it's just fighting. They do a good job on all their trailers.
And even in the demo, you can play or you can change up the skins, and they'll literally like with the different voices and have different conversations depending on what happens at the beginning of the round. So like you can choose Jade before she's like turned into some demon or whatever they got going on, and she's got normal conversation stuff.
Yeah, when and any of the characters that have died are just like Revenant versions now.
Yeah.
I'm really scared that I'm gonna get really into this game because I don't have time. That's right before Castlemania.
Oh yeah, it is.
Are we gonna have a moment at the end of one of these podcasts where I'm like, hey, do you want to play Mortal Kombat? Is that gonna happen? Because I own it.
That sounds pretty raw. We might.
And Casey will be like, "Excuse me, I have to buy instant fatalities because I'm not good at inputs."
Oh my god.
I forgot they let you do that. That's hilarious.
That was fucking hilarious.
That, you know what? That's brilliant to me.
Like, I'm impressed. I'm like, you do that because I'm impressed.
Did you play anything else, Bob?
Yeah, the other thing I played this week was Sekiro. So that's
Okay, so I guess we can.
I also played Sekiro, so we should just do a Sekiro segment.
I played something besides Sekiro.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's,
yeah, go
let's
for it.
So
cover
did I.
all of the things that aren't Sekiro, and then you three can just talk about Sekiro. So, KZ, what'd you play other than Sekiro?
The deed has been done. The final piece of Final Fantasy 15 content came out, so I played it.
Oh my god, you actually played it.
All I know about that content is the unbelievably hysterical run cycle that apparently exists in one part of that DLC, where I guess Arden is literally doing the Chad stride with all his limbs flailing in every direction as you run.
So episode Arden came out this week. It is the final piece of DLC. It's something people have kind of been wanting for a while, where it's like, plays the main villain, get some of the backstory on that, and you can kind of tell this is definitely a thing they wanted to do for the fans, because half of it is just lore and just giving you the ability to just walk around, and during it, there's a segment because they're like, oh, the Empire found Arden because he's like a really, really old guy. And they bring you into this like lab building, and there's just lore everywhere. Giant panels, narrated like museum, like models of enemies, an entire world map that narrates every single bit of information on every area, which I thought it was interesting enough. The voice actor for Arden does a really good job in this, especially. Like, you can tell he's really into the role because he just went all out for it. And it's the only time you get to explore the main city in that game that the main character's from.
So it's in
That was
Insomnia.
cool. Yeah. Part of it is just this takes place around the time Noctis's dad becomes king. And Arden just comes in and just says, I'm going to try and kill him and just see what I can do about that. So you're just attacking the city, trying to break down their barrier. And you have some really cool fights in there. And it's a good time. I wouldn't say he's my favorite character to play as because he controls a little weird. Where normally in the game, you would start attacking an enemy and you would hold the button most of the time because that's how combos work in that.
Right.
But if you if you tilt the stick in any direction, he starts moving like haphazardly around to the point where if you want to like stick on an enemy, you just don't hold the stick at all. Very, very weird. He has a mechanic where if you hit an enemy 5 times in a row, he can kill them and turn them into demons, which gives him more energy and gives him more swords. And you just build that up so you can unleash insane combos.
So if he can just walk around while he's fighting like that, or is he attacking with flying swords or something?
Yeah. He as you get these takedowns, more red swords appear because he's the opposite to Noctis, so he'll have his own version of the royal arms. And once you hit 12, you can then execute an ultimate attack where he shoots like 100 swords everywhere, and you just stun lock the enemy, and it looks pretty great. His dodge mechanics are really weird in that he will just dodge around and like warp behind you, and you can just kind of phase around a very long distance, which took a little bit of getting used to. It's not like a traditional dodge roll because they give you a lot of freedom with how you dodge around and move around with it. A lot of bosses, a few of the bosses are reused, like they're able to use some of the stuff from the Royal Edition given the context to the story, which were all right. And the new bosses were fun enough, but I don't find 15's combat the most engaging thing in the world, but it's like, it's on the line of I like this and it's engaging enough. And the story stuff they added was pretty good. However, I really hate that all of these DLCs that fill out the plot are not integrated into the main game at all.
Yeah.
So this one straight up ends with a cutscene that is, and here we are at the end of the game, and it says, to be continued until chapter 14 of Final Fantasy 15, and I groaned. I'm like, this is so schlocky. Just put it in the main game. Come on. Find a way to integrate this.
Yeah,
really well.
It's the last one. You'd think that would be the time to do it.
It's funny that you're asking them to do that with the DLC when one might argue they didn't do that with the game itself.
Yeah.
If there's a word I would use for Final Fantasy 15, I think I would hit a couple hundred before the word well integrated or integrated, cohesive. KZ,
like
how cohesive is Final Fantasy 15?
I'd rate it disjointed.
70%.
Okay, thank you.
Get the C.
That's
It
actually...
gets a C.
For those who don't know, I know there are a bunch of people new to GigaBoots. We have, much like 1990s gaming magazines, 4 different categories we review games based on. They are visceral, raw, cohesive, and immersive. And we
You
want
forgot
to tend-
Kino, you fool.
No, Kino's a rank. You place high enough, you're Kino.
So so that's above the top one.
Yeah, so if you have the max score in every category, it's a dude with 1990s gamer hair exploding with the word Kino embossed below them.
KZ, have someone draw the 5.0 Game Pro thing with your avatar.
Oh my god, that would be pretty great.
We may need to figure something out with that. But
what tier
if
is
you don't...
the Patreon for the zine? When do we start the zine?
So if for the DLCs, every single one of them has a special post-game boss that you just access in the menu once you've cleared it once.
Weird.
And they had different ones, like in the Gladio one, you fight one of the side characters.
Yeah, you fight the big, strong general man.
Mm-hmm. You fight Aranea as Prompto. This one, you do the final boss, but as Arden, which I think is really
that
cool.
is good.
They straight up cut to that scene, and you're just playing as him, and they give you all of his skills that are unlocked, which I didn't get some of them in my normal run. Another thing that I thought was Kino is when you play 15, your skill tree is called the Ascension Grid, and of course Arden's has to be called the... I think it's called the Dissension. It's just the opposite. Overall, I think this last DLC was pretty good. It's too bad the other ones got canceled, but most of it was supposed to be what-if scenarios, so I can't say I care about non-canon stuff in the game.
If they were actually going to be non-canon, I really think they were just going to make the dog's time travel powers real, and then this would be a new alternate ending you got.
Well, we'll find out what they are, because they're making them a book. They're making them a novel. Yeah,
that'll never get translated. Oh, well.
No,
fans will do it.
It actually is coming over here. They said it's getting a Western release.
Yeah, they've actually gotten a lot better about that. Like all the Kingdom Hearts novels are getting translated even.
I need to read those. I'm sure that stuff's ridiculous. Sorry, it's Sephiroth Donald quacked.
Which, by the way, we didn't cover this in news last week.
I was like, we haven't hit news.
Shiro Amano, who did the Kingdom Hearts mangas, just said, yeah, I'm doing a Kingdom Hearts 3 one.
Yeah, that's really, really exciting, because there's a lot of really good comedy in the manga, such as them eating a bucket of chicken that is just called in the manga Nomura's fried chicken, and it's a drawing of his head. It's real good. But that was the only other thing I played besides Sekiro.
I'm glad that all the 15 stuff is done. Those guys need to move on to something else.
Yeah, they said they just said that they're really excited about starting a new AAA IP. So it sounds like they're still doing what they planned on doing in the first place when Tabata first talked about it, before 15 even came out. He said, I want to make something that's not this.
Anything else.
He wanted to make something that wasn't that so bad he left the company.
He just straight up went, I want to make a new IP just in general. So that'll be nice. Be nice to see Square have like another new thing. But
that Platinum isn't making for them.
Yeah. And is not left alive, so it's time. Time has come for that game we played.
Oh no, I have a
Sekiro.
game. I
Oh,
I
yeah,
played
yeah.
something else.
You played that other thing.
So I have been playing the Caligula Effect Overdose on the PS4.
Is it juicy?
Kinda. This was a Vita game. It reviewed not great. I heard from a lot of people that the story was good, but everything else was bad. And I looked at some footage and whew, that was rough. I've had a lot of people come to me since I've been saying, "Oh, this seems good." Be like, a lot of reviewers said it was bad. And my response to that is it's like the first thing is this computer idol trapped people in high school. Like no shit, reviewers are gonna bounce off that harder than anything in the universe. But it has a really interesting combat system where you make commands and then you see a prediction of how it will play out. So there's like you can have one character knock people into the air and another character shoot them while they're in the air, and you can set up big combos like that. So it's really interesting, and the UI is beautiful. It's like Persona 5 levels of having a gorgeous looking user interface. It's unreal.
That's a high bar.
Which is a big
Which
is
version?
a big
3 or 4?
5.
Oh, cool. Unreal 5.
Oh. Which was a big upgrade from the Vita version, which looked like dog shit. It has really fantastic art, too. The art is beautiful. And it has really great character designs. And the story was written by, I forget his name, but whoever wrote Persona 1 and 2 and Digital Devil Saga wrote this game.
Huh.
I remember people talking about this when the game was announced, that he was making his own Persona-esque game.
The plot is basically a Vocaloid, essentially, has created like a virtual reality and pulled in people's souls if she felt like they were suffering.
That's raw.
So they could be happy, and so you're stuck in high school forever.
Not so raw.
Because like the halcyon days of your youth and all that. Yeah, well, most of them are. Most people don't realize they're in a virtual reality. Only like the protagonists and some of the antagonists do. Which is why your main party is called the Go Home Club, which is a joke. Which is a joke because in Japanese schools, if you're not a member of any clubs, which is very unheard of, and you're like a weirdo recluse, you're said to be in the Go Home Club. Because after school, normally you go to club activities. And it's like, I'm going home while you're in the Go Home Club. It has a very interesting story so far, because it's like, it's not as simple as the emotions you're repressing are good and you need to let them out. It seems to be like you can't repress at least so far, the story seems to be like, you can't repress all of your emotions. That makes you like a husk. But if you just let everything out, you're like a weird, reckless, violent idiot that nobody should be around.
Yeah, you're the AVGN punching his car, talking about Madden.
And Du Renjar.
There's probably going to be something interesting about how you interact with art in it too, because the Vocaloid that sucked everybody into the cyber zone gained sentience because people forced her to sing too many angsty songs. And there's like an opposing Vocaloid that is on your team, so I think they're gonna have some kind of interesting parallel between like using things as escapism versus using them to cope. So I'm really excited for where it goes. It's going to go. It's an upgraded Vita game. Like the area where it falters is production values.
Mm-hmm.
It also has this weird thing where there's 524 unique NPCs, and you have a giant web of character interactions of how they all relate to each other, and they each have a trauma that you can solve to get equipment.
Oh,
That sounds neat, but
yeah, that sounds really neat.
it's a lot.
And it's neat because like each class has like an overarching problem. Like this one class of third years, one of their classmates was murdered, so all their traumas relate to that.
I thought that they were supposed to be happy here. Why are they getting murdered?
Well, presumably, the idea is supposedly that by you connecting to them, they start to remember the problems that got them pulled into this place in the first place.
Okay, all right.
I mean, that sounds like a really neat system, getting equipment out of solving their unique character stories and problems.
The equipment is like metaphysical. It's not like you put on the ice bracelet. It's like ideologies and stuff. Like it's framed in a way that like you equip ideas to your mind, and these power you up.
This sounds like a real big think game.
Yeah, seriously.
So I'm not that far into it. I'm looking forward to continuing it because the story seems really interesting.
What was the name one more time for people who missed it?
The Caligula Effect Overdose. It's for PS4. I think it might be on Switch and PC too.
Have there been any horses?
No.
Okay.
Horses are raw.
You shouldn't. One, in America, maybe don't eat a horse. Two, if you're gonna eat a horse, Casey, don't eat it raw.
Oh, I'll stick to Taco Bell.
Bad news, man.
Do not.
No,
order
they
the
don't
steak.
use horse. It's just like 70% oatmeal.
It's actually sand, but oatmeal was a good guess.
I think after those lawsuits, they had to, where they proved it was sand, they had to change it to something else. So maybe it's oatmeal now.
Yes, they immediately changed it to something else. They went, our beef's always been real beef and good quality beef, and we've always been this good. And I'm like, motherfucker, I didn't even know you were getting sued until after I noticed you changed your beef.
Num-nums.
But don't worry, Bob. They trended back towards sand. It's going to take another class action lawsuit to get sand out of this fucking beef. The funny thing is, Bob, there's a good swath of people listening to this podcast who think this is an elaborate joke,
Right?
and that we're inventing sand being the main ingredient in Taco Bell beef.
You gotta stop doing this.
It's real,
Never.
Casey. You can't deny it.
It's true. They lost that lawsuit. They took it
Public information.
They took it to a fucking lab, and they're like, "Yeah, this is mostly what the fuck."
I'm crumbling.
Anyway, is that all of the non-Sekiro games?
Yeah, that's all the non-Sekiro games.
Okay,
Sekiro is a video game.
Bob,
What's up?
you are the new host of this podcast. Since
no.
I have not played Sekiro, I'm stepping away.
Okay.
Play nicely with
We're gonna
them.
have you lead the charge and explain the mechanics.
Bob, you get 30 minutes to explain the mechanics of
That seems like a
Sekiro.
lot. Maybe.
Use all 30.
No.
See, in half an hour, I'm getting Taco Bell.
Don't, Dan. It's sand.
Gotta get that sand.
You better go.
So Sekiro.
Yes.
It's a Souls game. Well, it's made by FromSoft, but it's not technically
It's
a
not
Souls
really
game.
a Souls game.
It has a structure of a Souls game, but
It
has
does have the
mechanics.
structure. It's very strange
Oh
in
god,
how
discussing this is ass.
it's very strange in how so much of it is superficially like Souls, and then if you try to play it like a Souls game, you hate yourself and life.
Yeah,
It's almost like back in the day when a new genre got made, and then they made a game that was in that genre but slightly different. So it has the familiar stuff that you would expect, but it doesn't play like that. Like you have checkpoints, you have a bonfire equivalent, you
The
have
controls are basically identical.
you have the healing item that you get more of as you go on, and if you heal back in an idle, it resets.
yeah. So it has a lot of
You have
things that
the
are like a
quick
Souls
menu
game.
that is on the same button. Even no, it's actually not on the same button. It's
No,
on a different button
it's
now.
not. It's D-pad stuff.
Yeah, because now they have things to do on the
Which
face buttons.
which I assume is very conscious of them going, all right, we're going to put it on the D-pad to make sure that you do not think that you can just use these items while engaging with the enemy. Not like with Bloodborne, where you had blood vials on the face button, so you can kind of still heal as you're going in. They want you to just keep giving you different ways to remind you to leave the fight and use this stuff.
Remind me what Square is.
Square? That's, oh god.
I don't think Square is used in combat.
It's interact. So it's like pick up stuff, open doors.
yeah, you hold it. To
Oh,
suck
it's
in
interact
loot.
because there's a jump button in this game, so it can't just be X, because otherwise
Yeah,
you
it can't
end
be
up
like Final Fantasy 15 where you're just
you end up like
jumping
Final
in the
Fantasy
air
15.
in front of a fucking sparkly doodle.
So I'm the only one.
didn't really
It
like
sounds like
this
both
game.
of you've gotten near the end of the game, right? I'm the only one who's not.
I've beaten it.
Okay.
I've beaten it.
I reached the final boss. I might drop it. I'm not.
The
I'm
final
not.
boss is I'd say on a scale of difficulty of FromSoft bosses, I'd say it's like it's not the hardest boss FromSoft has ever made. That's still Orphan of Kos.
I didn't have that much trouble with that guy.
It's up there though.
Yeah, but I think the problem here is you're kind of just trapped because the way Sekiro works is if you're not good enough executing the things, like
there's no way to make this easier.
There is a way. I learned it very recently. There are 3 pieces of a mask you can collect throughout the game.
Oh yeah, I know, I got that, but it starts scaling so bad, and I don't even know if I don't even know if it matters.
Okay, because there's a mask you can collect, and once you've done it, you can, instead of getting new skills, you can use your skill points to raise your attack.
Huh.
And I almost wanted to do that, but then it's like, get 18 treasure carp scales. And I'm like, no. Fuck these fish.
You can there's a bunch in that last area, and if you swim around, there's precious bait, which if you feed to the big carp, you'll get like 9 or 10 scales if you feed all 5 to him.
Yeah, I'll need to do some stuff with that. But yeah, that final boss is just a little bit too much for me because as you go through the game, they kind of went away from focusing on health for the combat. It's engaging with enemies, mini bosses, and bosses trying to take down their posture so you can take out one of their nodes or pips above their health and do a death blow on them. And the final boss expects you to do 4 in one run.
Yeah, 4. The problem is it wouldn't even be so bad if
4, Bob!
That's a lot.
The first, second, and third phases of this final boss all have 100% different move sets. So it's technically 3 bosses.
It is infuriating. I looked up what the final phase does, and even that will suck. Because sometimes you'll just fuck up.
That's way easy. That's way easier because whenever he does his biggest moves, that's just an own me sign appearing over his head.
Maybe we dial back and stop talking about the final boss of this game.
Yeah, it's a little stressful. It's all a little stressful.
A lot of people are having trouble with this game. I've seen a lot of people despise it. Don't play it like a Souls game at all. Here's how you fight every single thing in Sekiro. You get up its ass and you never get out.
Now, I actually was starting to try and do that, and what I've learned is my reflexes are so goddamn bad that I eventually need to leave. Because I'll just start, my posture will build up too high that I need to get out, because then I'll get hit by something, and then I need to get out. Or I can't react to certain attacks fast enough.
Yeah,
that's the weird thing. This is a pretty far deviation from previous FromSoft games because instead of in everything else, you didn't need good reactions to beat anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you identified the telegraph, you kind of had time to go to the store and get a cup of coffee and come back and then hit dodge on a lot of things.
The telegraph that gets me the most is they have perilous attacks, which are the ones where the red kanji appears and you need to do something because you can't block the attack. And some bosses
can't block it.
Some bosses have such a low window of time of showing you which of the up to 3 different moves they could do.
Yeah, there's 3 varieties of them.
I just get owned.
Yeah, I wish they had like different colors for them or something because it seems weird.
I feel like that'd make it way too easy because you avoid all 3 in different ways.
Right.
So it would just make it way too easy.
It's just now.
I do wish that
but I feel like the game does enough shit to fuck you up that maybe it could throw you a bone.
I mean, all having the one color does is make I figured out that this boss has this one that he does. So now I just need to do that.
Most bosses have one of all 3.
Yeah. They have the
I do wish that instead of a giant glowing your own sign appearing over your head, they just made like the enemy flash red, which feels much more natural than the giant warning kanji over your head.
I feel like it potentially also blocks what I'm fighting at times.
The camera in this game is so fucking bad.
It is.
It's honestly inexcusable.
One of the first bosses specifically ruins your camera.
Are you guys talking about the well
mini boss in the fucking well?
I was talking about the Lady Butterfly. That's one of the first bosses in the game.
Yeah. FromSoft has still not fixed their fucking camera a decade and like 6 games in.
Well, yeah, they haven't
It
fixed
has
anything.
all the exact same problems. A boss jumps too far away from you, your lock-on breaks. You try to lock onto the enemy and you're a little bit too far away, so the camera flips 180 degrees and you can't see what the fuck is going on. If there's a wall anywhere, the camera will get caught on it and fuck you. If a boss jumps above your head, the camera fucking loses its mind. Fix your fucking shit, FromSoft.
FromSoft is kind of like it's kind of like what they say about like people who become rich or famous. Like they stop maturing, they stop trying to improve themselves because they're like, I'm rich now. FromSoft kind of feels like that, where it's like Dark Souls is the best action game in the world. Fuck off.
It's not even that. I think what really fucked FromSoft over is the way Bamco promoted Dark Souls 1 and then promoted all their subsequent games. I think when your entire thing is, our games are really hard, you don't have to, you can have like really shitty, unpolished things like that, just going, well, it's hard. Our games are hard. That's fine. Deal with it, asshole.
And the general audience that is consuming that will go, oh, well, you know, sure, this may seem imbalanced, but that's the point, where it's got to be hard.
I had somebody once tell me that Dark Souls 1 on consoles, where Blighttown drops to like 10 frames per second, was intentional because it represented the trepidation you should be feeling at entering this dangerous place.
I've seen that a lot. I've seen that unironically pop up all the time.
There's lots of bad takes about Dark Souls, just how it is.
Oh, I have some positive things to say about the game in terms of things that it takes that general Souls template and changes things up and fixes things that I've had problems with in these games. One, there's a lot of mini bosses in the game, but for all of the main bosses, you basically never have to fight an enemy to get to them. You can easily run and get to the main boss without having to do a dreaded boss run where it's like, I gotta kill these things, I gotta hope some projectile doesn't hit me on the way to running to a fog door or something. And
there's not even any fog doors, which is great. So you just run past them. Fuck them.
The verticality, the level design, exploring things, jumping around, swimming, the exploration in this game. I've never had this much fun exploring a world in one of their games before, but it was just really, really refreshing and nice. The areas were really, really varied, and one aspect of it is, one, they're not trying to capture that Dark Souls 1 approach of, we're going to put the bonfire equivalent really far away and make this painful. No, the checkpoints are laid out pretty regularly.
They've been regular in every game other than the first one, honestly. Maybe Bloodborne is rare.
Yeah, I saw some people saying that they should have limited fast travel and made it so there's like only like 3 checkpoints per area, and I'm like, I want them to make a good game instead. So I'm glad that they.
I feel like this would have been an okay time for them to walk back the fast travel a little bit, because this is actually the first time since Dark Souls 1 that they had this degree of an interconnected world, and I kind of feel like that they originally did not intend to have fast travel, and Activision went, no, you're putting in fast travel, because there's a shortcut from the second major hub type room you reach back to the first that has absolutely no reason to exist when fast travel exists.
I think it's more of a feel how this is connected, because I wouldn't be able to deal with this game.
It's literally a teleport.
Yeah.
It's not even like, it's not a physical connection, so it's not like the world is interconnected, you teleport via a loading screen.
Weird.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
Yeah, the shortcut is just a teleport. It's a shinobi door from Lord Kuro's room back to the temple.
Oh yeah.
That you started the game at, and it's just a loading screen teleport. So I have no idea why that's even there. If
just so you can go like, oh, that's neat.
I really think that they were probably not going to give you fast travel initially.
Fast travel in this or not, and if it wasn't in, I probably wasn't gonna buy it. I was like, I don't have the fucking time.
I also kind of think that Activision pushed for the story elements, because this game could cut like almost every cutscene out of this game, and it would make exactly as much sense.
Before we got onto that, I really like that they took out corpse runs. Like, there's no dropping a corpse when you die. There's no running back for the souls. That's just gone. And I always found that to be one of the worst things about souls.
I feel like what they replaced it with is worse.
Yeah, what they replaced it with is also terrible. Like, that should also just be gone.
Worse.
I don't know about worse, because I hate the idea of, oh yeah, the start of every boss battle is digging around for your corpse and getting completely in a different place and getting a bad start to the fight because I need to run to where I died last time.
Well, you can either spend all your souls or not care, but I really hate this new one because it encourages you to grind in a game that is like the least RPG they've ever made. Because if you're like 80% to your next skill point, why would you go slam your face against a boss and lose all of your experience?
I don't see the point in punishing you for your currency when you die. I do not see the point other than to upset you.
You can buy the like coin pouches from different merchants.
The coin pouches are more reasonable.
They incentivize you to buy coin pouches so that when you die, you don't lose half your fucking money.
Yes, it's a lot like Diablo 2.
This is one of the areas where I think the Souls design hurts it, because you're supposed to figure out how to counter every single thing a boss does, but then it punishes you for dying.
Yeah, it's really frustrating and dumb.
And they try to introduce the Dragon Rot, which is that thing where if you die after using your revive system, the people in the world start to get sick, which I think is okay in the story. But when it was first presented, I'm like, it's just another penalty for dying. There doesn't need to be that.
It also doesn't do anything. It's not like it changes quest lines.
It doesn't let you do quest lines with characters.
Oh, it blocks quest lines? I thought none of those characters
because if you attempt to talk to them, they will cough and they won't be able to say anything.
Oh,
but
so the
vendors will still do things for you, but you won't be able to continue whatever you were going to do with them.
But then the items to fix it are really cheap and available at merchants, and you can use them from any.
It's a pointless system.
It's a pointless system.
Yeah, it's just the system that upset you. Like, it's just one more thing that you need to deal with.
There was one thing I did that I really am glad they did. I forget if they did it in any other Souls game, but I know in Dark Souls 3 it wasn't there. When you go up to the bonfire equivalent, the idols in this game, even if enemies are around, you can tap them. So I've had moments where I would run I'd run into an area.
It will actually stop you from tapping them if an enemy is too close.
Yeah, but at the very least, this game does it differently, where I can activate them and then they'll just not let me rest. Like the range is broader with this, where they actually let you do it more. I remember in Dark Souls 3, there were just moments where I had to get an enemy 4 miles away for that to turn on.
Now, one thing I really like is that there is a separate option between resting and setting it as your checkpoint, which no previous FromSoft game has done.
There is?
Before, yeah, if you just sit at the idle, it's now your checkpoint. You don't have to rest.
Yeah. Because what I would do sometimes is I would tap that idle, and then it would turn off because an enemy came up, killed me, and then it just popped me right there. So I didn't have to worry about running back. And given their really bright and blue color, it's easy to like see them from a distance. So it was a lot easier to just make my way through the various areas.
Yeah, last week I was talking about how I was playing Tenchu, trying to, get back in the groove of that.
Prepping yourself for Sekiro.
Right, because I was hoping that it would be similar.
How similar is that? I've never played Tenchu.
There are similarities. Like, it has some of the stealth mechanics from that, but it feels like always was
Did an enemy throw its shit at you and poison you in Tenchu as well?
I think that happened.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like always FromSoft, it's like this big ambition, this really good idea, and then just they can't execute it right. So it feels weird. Like, I have enemies literally seeing me through solid walls. And it's like, I see you, and then they run at the wall. They can't do anything, but they're on alert. So you can't insta-kill them.
Did they already see you?
No.
Like, were they yellow? Because if they're yellow, they act weird.
Yeah, when they're yellow, they're super weird.
They're on like search mode, but it's bad search mode.
Yeah, it's like this is worse than most.
And guess what? There's There's a consumable that almost makes you invisible.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's one of those like lifesaver style like chewables.
Yeah, the stealth elements are really half baked. It's because it's like you can if you're anywhere near their line of sight, they see you unless you're in tall grass, and then it's almost impossible for them to see you.
Then what you're saying is it's a modern video game stealth system.
I think it's like equally simple but less forgiving because enemies have seen me like way above their heads that nobody would realistically see.
Yeah, no, it's rough.
It sounds like the gameplay equivalent of the Last of Us moment where Joel goes, Ellie, you need to crouch under this tripwire or otherwise that thing will explode. And she just runs through it, explodes next to her, and she doesn't even react.
It feels like a step between a tacked-on stealth system and actually a fleshed-out one.
Yeah, it's got
It's
lot
like
of
a weird mid-step.
There's so many points where he's just like, this isn't possible to stealth through. You've made it in a way where it's not possible. You have to have two guys just staring down a road, and there's no way around it. And that's
stealth is more like a tool for engagement.
Yeah, it's a tool. You're not supposed to stealth through the entire game.
Which is
there's some areas that I kind of went mostly stealth. Like one of the last areas in the game, you need to stealth because they brought back some old mechanics that made me upset when I first saw them.
Oh yeah. Oh, you mean they brought back a weird version of the jailers from Dark Souls 3?
What was that? They even give you near the beginning of the game these things called ceramic pot pieces, which say they say they're there to distract people.
Yeah,
they do literally nothing.
I got one use out of it on one mini boss, and it was hilarious. There's like an NPC related boss in the game that after you engage with them enough, they'll attack you. And I was like, well, there's no way to stealth it until I saw someone on Twitter say, go behind their ass, throw a shard at them, it will stun them, and then you can stab them in the back for a free death blow.
Was that the loot player?
That's the one in the village.
Is it the lady?
Yeah, it's the female mini boss character. And you can just throw oil or anything behind them, and then they'll give you about
a lot of goofy shit.
I like the
by the way, Casey, I got this from a speed run. You know the chained ogre?
Yep.
You can death blow him before he activates from his side.
What?
While he's chained to that post.
I saw a lot of people saying that there was some way you could do it easily instead of my method, which was to proc him, go to the left upstairs, make him fall down, bolt back to the idol, which is long enough for him to disengage, but he'll still be stuck down there, and then you run around and jump on him. We use important strategies here. One strategy that Sekiro has that I like are the ninjutsus, which are like
they're all really fun.
Yeah, they're different moves that you can do as you go through the game based on backstabs.
When you get a backstab, you press R1 again, and you get a special move. There's 3 of them. One is a blood cloud, which is just now you can stealth kill another person who's right next to him.
You stab, the blood spray just turns into an explosion of smoke, and that's like how you can just set up really big chain kills.
It feels like something you should get a lot earlier.
Your puppet.
That's the best one in the game where you backstab and pop it, and that's just an AI controlled ally. So sometimes you run into a mini boss that has a dude with them, and then it's 2-on-1. And that lasts for
the third one just gives you a laser sword.
That's really cool. How late are these in the game, guys?
You get the first one when you know the guy who owns you in the opening.
Yeah.
When you beat him, you get the first one. Then you get the second one when you beat a major boss a little bit later, and then the third one you get almost at the end of the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say this stuff is like I've played a lot of this game, and I haven't gotten any of this.
It feels like the actual game they wanted to make is the hard mode of New Game Plus, because there's New Game Plus, and then there's a hard mode version of New Game Plus. You know what hard mode is?
What's that?
I read what it was, and then is like, I'm not doing this.
Please explain to me what hard mode is so I can get upset.
Okay, first is it just spawns samurai guys, ghost samurais all over the game. Which is whatever. That's in every FromSoft new game mode. The other is you now take half damage when blocking. The only time you don't take damage is if you perfect deflect.
They made a bad game.
Hey, Bob,
Hey.
I have a quick question. You're probably the leading authority on this, and so I'm really glad we have you to ask.
Oh no.
Bob,
What's going on?
how does the stealth in Sekiro compare to Left Alive?
Better than that. Jesus. Left Alive is hardly
How's
a
the
video
AI?
game.
So I want to say I have a more concise version of my thoughts on Sekiro, which is when it works perfectly, it's really fun. It feels really good when you're up in a boss's face, parrying all his stuff, and his posture falls apart, and then you stab him in the neck and his next phase starts. When it doesn't work, and boy, there are parts where it doesn't work. Like there's a gorilla boss that is just terrible.
I keep hearing about this gorilla boss.
I encountered this gorilla Bob like very early on, because when you reach the Ashina Castle area, that's the third area in the game.
Uh-huh.
Like it's after you beat the ogre and like a little bit more. It's not too long until you get to this place. The game opens up and there's like 4 or 5 other areas you can just go to if you want. I found that ape first.
Wow, yeah, I
And
got
oh
the
my
castle
God,
long ago.
That boss is so fucking bullshit. Where they know that the new players would try to go in his asshole like every giant monster boss on a Souls thing. So it just shits. It farts on you and poisons you. And then it throws its poop at you.
Wow.
It's a nightmare. I put it off until the very end. Like it was the last main boss I did until plot progression.
And then you have to fight it again with a second version of it.
It's really fucked up that you beat it, and then I go to an old area, and I'm like, wait, what the hell? I went down this dark cave, and I'm like, it's back. Oh no, there's 2 at the same time. They made it easier, of course, because that thing's a nightmare normally.
Yeah, it's significantly easier, but it's just hilarious how it's like, we know you hated this boss, here it is again. Which goes back to that FromSoft's obsession with that Bamco gave them, I'm convinced, because how they marketed Dark Souls 1. It's just like, we can do whatever we want and we'll just pass it off as it's hard.
I don't know. I feel like Demon Souls even had that structure to it. Like I think that's what they're going for. Just
like they've always had this evil energy about them.
Like that boss really has it because it does this thing that they started doing with Bloodborne and has always pissed me off, which is like, so hey Souls veteran, this enemy is going to attack in ways that make no fucking sense at all, so you can't predict what its attacks are, which became really common, where it's like an enemy will like start to swing down at you, but then he'll like slip and his foot'll hit you first, and then he'll like swirl around and fall on you and then start bouncing, and you're like, how the fuck am I supposed to predict what this shit is?
Yeah, like, I
don't find that necessarily to be a problem, just because it kind of keeps the game from being too samey. So it's like, hey, this boss has a different way of attacking you, or has different quirks you need to learn. Otherwise, you kind of start going on autopilot.
Play the Ringed City DLC of Dark Souls 3.
I don't feel like that's specifically targeting Souls fans, though. I feel like that's just anybody's going to logically see, okay, that guy's swinging his sword back, and that's going to cheese you.
It is, because it's like, okay, this boss does an enemy does a 4-hit combo, and then he'll pause like he's going back into his default stance, and then he'll fall down on you, and then he'll belly bounce 10 feet in the air and fall back down. This is all
You're just talking about the gorilla again, dude.
No, this is the Ring City DLC.
Oh, okay.
There's like dudes with clubs that do this, and like
this is the same thing I see in all like action games when they try to get harder. It's like, oh yeah, it's gonna have stuff that tries to fool you like this.
But there's a lot of stuff in the Souls games specifically where it really feels like we're aiming for the veterans, which I feel like is not how you should make a game.
I've just never thought of it like that, because I've seen those exact situations you're talking about. I just thought of they're trying to make it different that way, that the average veteran has something they actually need to learn.
Oh, here's a
instead of just
thing
you know.
I hate about the game. Bloodborne. I hated it that vials and bullets got more expensive as you went through the campaign, which just felt mean-spirited.
Mm-hmm.
This does the same fucking thing where spirit emblems get more expensive as you go through the game. Just give me them. You intend for me to have them. Why am I not just topped off for free every respawn? Why are they a thing I have to store?
Their specific goal is to make it just as hard for you to stock up the entire game. There's never a point where you're going to get ahead.
Why is there stocking up at all? Like, they want me to have these. Why can I not just have 15 whenever I respawn, and enemies drop them less frequently as refills as I go through a level?
Yeah,
we can't have happiness, Phil. We can't be happy.
It's a weird, dumb idea they had. Like Bloodborne, that was one of the worst ideas, because you literally just have to do like a run of some other area to get money and then go back to what you want to do.
And then they start with the enemies where, like, you can't do damage to these enemies without a consumable that is very rare. Go grind for it.
Yeah, that was either take on is a very early boss. You have to take on
the headless guy.
Monster. Yeah, the headless dude, which, by the way, this game does a really good job of continuing to bring back mini bosses in ways you're like,
oh,
how
you get fucking jumped underwater.
There's one underwater boss.
There's 3, and they're all in the same area.
It's underwater, but it's like, oh, well, whatever. It's a slow-moving zombie-like enemy. It shoots beams now. Oh, and it's got like heat-seeking death missiles.
They were kind in one way. None of those bosses have prayer beads.
Yeah, that made me mad because I just put forth the effort and I was not rewarded with something I wanted. The one thing that I fucking lost my mind was I beat the first headless, and it takes you to this little room, and I'm like, what's this? What's this bell do? I ring the bell, and they said, okay, the game is harder now. You've activated the hard mode bell.
Oh yeah, I found that. I actually just ran past the dude because I couldn't find any items that let me hurt him.
Yeah, it's like the divine confetti stuff. It's like a purple box.
Oh, that's what that stuff does?
But there's just a bell that just makes the game harder.
Yeah, no, it's...
Thankfully, you can pop an item that they give you when you ring it. But I was like, who would want this? Who would want this?
It's. I don't even think it's really that much harder. It's kind of a lame hard mode, like the one in Dark Souls 2, where it's like, you do 20% less damage now. The game is harder. Okay,
it has higher vitality damage,
now.
Higher stance damage. Your stance will be broken easier, and every enemy gets more resistance and stance resistance, but you get better item drops.
Okay, so this Sekiro segment is well over half of this podcast at this point. We're going to have to wrap it up. Do you guys have any closing comments before we move on?
Sure, Field can open. He's a wordy.
Sekiro is a good game that has some It is a good game. It would be a better game if FromSoft had shaken off more of their habits. If you don't like hard games, do not purchase this game.
Bob?
I agree with what Phil said. Also, be wary of the PC version. I am having horrible issues. Half the time it's playable, half the time it's just not.
Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah. Keep in mind, I wasn't here for part of this. I was busy eating handfuls of dirt at my local Taco Bell.
Did you actually go to the Taco Bell?
Sure, why not?
No, he wasn't gone long enough.
Bob, did you talk about performance and how the consoles don't?
No, we didn't talk about performance,
Okay,
which really probably should have.
So the PC version can run really well. Unlike the console versions, even the Pro versions don't really run at 60.
Yeah, they run like 40.
But it was
They don't.
fucking.
Yeah, they don't run very well.
It was a siren song though, because Bob got like halfway through this game or some shit, and then it just started eating shit.
Yeah, no. Now I'm dealing with massive like frame drops and things like.
And
it's
like
runs at
pitching, like
yeah,
it's hitching up, like he's trying to play a game and his hard drive isn't fast enough for some shit.
Right?
This is bullshit because why is the one that Activision published have the worst PC version?
Did you get the PC version, Phil?
No, I didn't. I got the PlayStation 4 version, but I have the PC versions of all the Souls games, and those are fine.
Right?
I
did Dark Souls 3.
I mean, Dark Souls 1 had
Dark
community patches.
I said other than the first one.
Yeah,
I said other than the first one.
Right.
I had a qualifier, but like, why is their fourth one with support from Activision having this issue.
I don't know. It's frustrating.
I mean,
I'd rather have it just run bad on PS4 than to deal with what I'm dealing with now.
Yeah,
it's making it basically impossible.
And that's really
parry.
unfortunate because you're probably past the returnability
definitely
threshold on Steam, which is really bad. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. I've made the joke to Bob a couple of times of like, FromSoft should just totally make a game like they were going to ship it like they do now, and then just, I don't know, some sort of optimization crack team ports it to things and makes it work for a year.
They need to sit on it. They release games way too fast. They need to sit on them and actually finish them.
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't made a game in a while, have they? This is the first one since Dark Souls 3, which was 3 years ago, I think.
That was only
maybe
like
4.
That was only like 2 years ago at most.
It's
It came out
definitely
in
not
2016,
4.
I believe.
Yeah, Dark Souls 3 was 2016, so
Yes,
it was
it's 3.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's early. Was it late in 2016?
Or 8 years, one of them.
No, it was early. It was in March.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it was about 3 years.
the
It's
heck?
been exactly 3 years.
How
It's
is
almost
it
like-
this bad if it's been 3 years?
Because FromSoft doesn't stop to fix shit, kind of like Telltale. But that's, a comparison that's going to get me shit. But it's fine.
Yeah, please don't shit on the dead.
Look, there's shambling corpses out there releasing a video game, so we can.
What game?
Oh, I'm
Walking
I'm
Dead
sorry. They
final
made
season.
they made that VR game too, so it hasn't just been.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's
It
true. They
hasn't
made that
only
VR
been-
game. Aggro was interested in that. We never did get that. We have PlayStation VR. We could get that.
Right? I have to wonder that for VR, they're like required to make that run at solid 60.
Or thereabouts.
Well, it's like it's not an action game. It's like an adventure game.
Yeah, but even still, if
Right.
it doesn't run at 60, you'll puke. VR is very special.
You try it and then you just puke and are like, Sony lets people with money fuck you.
Allegedly.
I look at the camera just dead-eyed. No,
It's so immersive. I'm puking. Thank you, FromSoft.
You know what I was expecting was I put the headset on, I puke, I take the headset off, look at the camera and go, I heard these games were hard, but gee. Okay. KZ, do you have any closing comment or can we just go?
All right. So, overall, I really have enjoyed my time with Sekiro, though I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be beating this final boss because, oh my god. But I feel like if they had a difficulty option where they just said, here, just take this if you can't handle it, where it just made it so you don't die in 2 hits to every boss in the game,
Yeah,
it would be my favorite. It would be my favorite one of these.
It's
ever,
weird
'cause
that they even let you upgrade your health bar because it just doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it does not matter. I really enjoyed exploring the worlds. I love so many of the bosses and the combat system. If this game just wasn't as punishing, it'd be my favorite one. But it's very rough, especially at the end. Like this last boss is just ridiculous. But overall, I really enjoyed my time. I was a bit on the negative side overall talking about it, but I really, really enjoyed it.
Okay, well, I think that means we are freed from the demon that is what we've played since the last time we did a podcast, so I guess we're free to go ahead and talk about the news.
There's not much of that, right, Dan?
Mm-mm.
And there's nothing else we have to do before that, right?
No.
Nothing.
Mm-mm.
Absolutely not a single thing we should mention.
Mm-mm.
All right, good.
Dan, you absolute fucking rube! The Podlords!
Oh, no!
The Podlords!
There is water everywhere. I am a method actor.
It's like, I hope it's not on the microphone.
It's fine, Bob. It has this nice foam windscreen which absorbs it.
I don't think that's what it's supposed to do. It's on a sponge.
It saves the flavor for later.
The Podlords always stress me out.
They're still violent.
When you're the new sheriff in town, you gotta fight.
The Podlords for this episode of The Big Think Dimension are Danny Richardson, Notgak, E. Lee Broyles, and Lady Popcorn. Thank you very much, Podlords.
And thank you very much, Patreon.com, for not fucking up the scroll this time.
Thank you, Podlords. Thank you, Patreon.com, for not changing your layout again.
Thanks, Podlords. I am not thanking that website, though.
Yeah, nah. That
Don't
website's
say
like,
that, they're listening.
Oh no!
that website's like, I'm gonna fuck you, and everyone's like, hey, don't fuck us, and it's like, okay, fuck you later.
I need that Patreon money to make a financial mistake.
Casey's going to Biloxi.
I have to make major mistakes involving Dan.
So we had some news. I'm gonna cover my bits really quickly because I'm gonna, really blast through this. Top of the news here. Buy our TV. I don't know. It's a bullet here.
Sure.
I'm gonna go ahead and.
Sure, I'll do it.
Oh, okay. Well, that solves that.
Oh, KZ did it, so that solves that
All right,
problem.
good.
We're done. Problem solved.
Hold on. Let's do our donkey shake. There we go.
What is that? Bob, don't watch.
Okay.
Don't watch me as I donkey shake. Apple announced Apple Arcade for iOS. Basically, it's just a subscription model where you get to play the games that they have on their store. They're going to reimburse devs based on how long you play them. And that's the idea. They're going to curate a small selection of games. They use the word exclusive, but it's a lot of stuff they were showing off was not exclusive to iOS even. And we're not sure if it's going to be exclusive, like you have to have Apple Arcade to play it or what.
Okay.
But I imagine it's going to be, I imagine you'll be able to buy these games either on launch day or eventually. Either way, here's my point on this. Mobile is a fucked in the ground hole. It is fucked for developers who are trying to make mobile. So this can't make it any worse, to be honest. Like,
This can only make it better.
it's so
Who's gonna
bad out
use
there.
it?
Like,
Who's gonna use this on the podcast here? Who's picking up Apple Arcade?
I don't have an iPhone,
so-
so it won't be me.
So here's the fucked up part. If you told me that Tony Hawk game that's on iOS was like $3, I'd be like, But if you told me for $10 a month I get to try it, I'd do it.
So you're saying you're a psychotic.
No, I'm saying that I would like to try a bunch of things for $10 as opposed to buckle down and go, I trust you, Tony, here's my $3. Because, I mean, here's the problem with mobile, Bob. How much was New Super Mario
three
Run?
spicy potato tacos.
Yeah, exactly.
I
That's the
can't
fucking
take
value
that
I'm
wager,
losing here.
Tony.
Tony!
Num-nums.
Tony, I need to eat this dirt in a tortilla.
Not dirt, you idiot.
That's my dirt taco. Don't take it.
Allegedly.
I think it was like $10 or $15 for that Mario game.
No, it wasn't that much. It was like 8.
Was it?
Yeah, it was single digit. It wasn't
All right.
10. But the reason why I ask is like, I thought that was a good game. I actually bought it, but that game flopped because it charged money.
Yeah, and you can't do that on mobile.
You can't do that on mobile, which is why I'm like, fuck it. Let them do
It's
this arcade
so
thing.
funny to me that it's like Super Mario Run flopped because it cost $10.
Right. That's fucking...
Yeah, that-
Meanwhile,
Right. Mobile is.
Fire Emblem Heroes, the exploitative gacha game, makes like $400 million a year.
Yeah.
It's raw.
That's how mobile gaming works.
And which is why I'm like, yeah, sure, subscription model, do it. Absolutely.
But yeah, I won't be getting it either just because I don't have room on my phone.
Yeah,
It's
that's a larger problem for me, but I'm hoping maybe by the end of this year I get to actually get a new phone because I've been buying on Black Friday the cheapest iPhone I can for a while now.
Right.
Like the most recent time I bought it was like $117. And I was like, value! You know how many dirt tacos I can eat for this much?
Stop talking about your fake tacos.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
So I'm interested in that. And during the little promo reel for that, they showed two things. One thing I want to talk about, and another thing that Bob needs to talk about. They showed Hironobu Sakaguchi's new game, and it's really neat because they're going for a Final Fantasy PS1 era thing where the backgrounds are different from the movable characters. So your movable characters are 3D models, but the backgrounds are high-res still photos of dioramas. So you get to see them design this like network of bridges, and then they show the gameplay of these 3D characters running across them. And I'm like, hell yeah, man. Absolutely.
I hope
do
that
it.
comes to something else because I want to play that, but I don't want to play it on my phone. I want that on a big screen because apparently it's just super high res photography. So
Yeah.
Can put
I want
that on
a
4K.
4K. Yeah. See that on my fucking OLED, and it'll be like, man, holy shit.
you'll probably see Sakaguchi in some reflections.
You're probably right. Oh man, could you imagine having to Photoshop
Dan
the
loads-
reflection of the camera out of every fucking environment?
No. Yeah, that's
Dan loads this
nightmare.
up, and he's just playing, and then he looks in the background. Teeth.
Oh my god. You're just running on Doug's teeth?
I think
They make squish noises.
I think it's you guys keep bringing up his teeth. His most recent thumbnail got rid of them, so I'm blaming you two for that thumbnail.
Presented by Devil May Cry 5.
Bob, did you know?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
There was a picture of him trying to cut carrots with Devil May Cry 5.
Anyway.
Okay.
Something worth thinking about, though. You know, when you get into the battles in Final Fantasy VII and the camera does a cool rotation around the enemy as it fades them in.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that having to be done with
man.
still dioramas.
Like, what if they have the full-on Matrix style camera system?
Yeah, they have bullet time.
That would be really good. If they do
really
that.
nowadays, you're talking about a drone.
Yeah.
You would fly a drone around, and then you would, yeah. And
Well,
that
I
would-
mean,
that-
they're small dioramas. It'd be hard to get a drone like that.
no. Is it a room? You can fit a drone in a room,
I guess.
especially if you back the fuck off. But yeah, I mean, they could get a drone, have it fly a pre-programmed pattern over and over again. That's why you would want to
You
use a
should get
drone.
a drone.
No, I shouldn't. Because the moment I thought I should get a drone, I looked into it and it's like, yeah, if you get a drone that gets the shot you want, that's an FFA or FAA violation. And I'm like, oh, okay, fuck it. I'll fucking pay some guy to show up to get that shot. Fuck this. I do not need a drone. That's what I learned. But Bob, there is something else you needed to bring up
Yes, during
from
that
this Apple Arcade promo reel.
the promo reel, like
Where they're
it's so much-
showcasing all these games for their Apple Arcade, talking to the developers, taking it to the streets to get from them what's amazing about this service. Bob, one of those testimonials stood out to you, a specific blurb. What was it?
It was the guy literally saying, unlike most games, ours focuses on the story. It was like, what are you for real?
Unlike most mecha anime, this one focuses on the characters.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was that moment.
It was
Because
verbatim.
Wasn't it like, unlike most cutting edge games or most inventive games? Like he used a
Yeah, it had the modifier that made it even more insane.
that made it even more like absurd. It was great. Bob, you can move on to your news now.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it. Let's bang it out.
Borderlands 1
Bob,
Game of
in
the
the
Year
news,
edition.
in the news here, it says Borderlands.
Look,
That's fair.
Broderlands.
Okay.
Brody Quest Plan.
I think it's very important that they announced that they're bringing out Borderlands 1 onto current consoles, all upscaled, updated, remastered, but they're calling it Game of the Year edition. Which year is
What
it, Dan?
year?
Right.
It's been 10 years.
Right. That's great. But they are actually adding stuff from 2 even. They're adding the mini map from 2. Being able to mark weapons is like junk or to lock them so you don't show them away. Yeah, lots of little like neat features like that. So that's nice.
I actually really liked Borderlands 1 a lot more than 2 back in the day, just from a perspective of the writing.
We doing this?
But also, like, I felt like the character abilities in 1 were more interesting.
Yeah, I had more fun with them. Like the teleporting thing that Lilith did in the second game was not as fun as the crazy energy ball thing that the first one did.
Like the weird beefy dude in 1, when he gets down, he just screams, "I never die!" As he's trying
just
to
you.
he's trying to get the last kill to revive. And he just screams that, and I could not stop laughing.
I think that was the
throughout
hunter guy, actually.
Yeah, that's right, because I played the hunter guy with the cool-ass hawk. Yeah, they don't have any cool-ass hawks in 2.
No.
Not really. But, Bob, what else you got in your news?
The Sony did their Nintendo Direct thing called State of Play.
Now, I've been told that because Sony's name is so bad that during Sony's Nintendo Direct was trending on Twitter. Because everyone kept calling it Sony's Nintendo Direct.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yes, that is what happened.
That's fucking hilarious.
So it's so good. This thing was pathetic. Like, absolutely. Absolutely, like, why did you do this levels of pathetic?
It feels like if you asked a computer to copy the Nintendo Direct and no humans looked at the product.
Okay, Bob, I'm going to run you through these titles. I'm going to say the name of a title, and you're going to tell me about it, okay?
Sure.
Let's start with Blood and Truth. What is that?
That is made by the guys Sony's London studio.
Oh, yeah, London.
Yeah, they're the guys who did that that PlayStation VR Worlds game when VR first launched.
Yeah, they did some sort of like cinematic crime thing as well.
Yeah,
that was a part of that.
That was part of that.
That was a part of that.
And this seems to be an extension of that.
Yeah. Five Nights at Freddy. No, we're moving on.
Okay.
Five Nights at Freddy Help Wanted VR.
It's a new FNAF game.
Actually, it recreates scenes from the iconic FNAF games, including the first FNAF.
My favorite part of this.
Yeah, I think its story is done because he released like 7 games in 1 year.
The best part of it was when the announcer lady that ran the Sony Direct was just like, I'm going to explain Five Nights at Freddy's to you while it plays. It's like, this is supposed to be somewhat scary. You've ruined it. You've chosen the last game to do this for.
Yeah. It had a real Tokyo Game Show English narrator vibe.
Yes.
Where it's like, you have no idea how much you're ruining this Knack trailer, which is a sentence I thought I would never say.
No, she enhanced that Knack trailer, Dan.
It's true. Watching Knack be like, and then her just being like, now it is time for me to get big.
Okay. All right. Now, you either need to name this podcast, Now It's Time for Me to Get Big, or You're Really Ruining Our Knack podcast.
Okay, Bob, what is Ready, Set, Heroes?
It's some weird top-down dungeon crawler you can do with up to 4 players. It might be okay.
VR?
No, I don't think it's VR.
Okay, there were a lot of VR.
It was
games.
mostly a VR presentation, for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, the whole reason people wanted them to do a Nintendo Direct style thing is so they could announce dates for their big games. But it was mostly VR, and then these things. Ready, Set, Heroes being made by Robot Entertainment, not Bad Robot, the J.J. Abrams company.
Right.
It's important. See, the part where I got confused is when they pretended that I should know this company and that it was an important deal. And then I was like, no, that's Bad Robot. What the fuck?
What is Robot?
What is going on? Also, we have Concrete Genie. Tell us about it.
That was first shown in October of 2017. And then we got to see a little bit more last E3. It looked okay.
This one, the only thing that really seemed new was we got to see that there's combat in it, which I didn't expect.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't think we saw any
that.
of that before.
I'm not sure, Bob, that I'm ready to... Hey, Bob, I'm not sure that the concrete graffiti aesthetic they added to Folklore really vibes with me.
Look, Folklore's combat looked a lot more interesting.
Wait, Folklore's are... Yeah, I mean, true. But like when you play the game, you mash square and then it just does like a 3-hit combo at best.
Yeah, and then you like yank the controller to pull the soul out.
Oh man, that was raw.
It was.
Oh my god, we need to give that game a chance. Okay. Anyway.
Do you?
Yeah, most people have not heard of Folklore, and it had a completely different name in Japan, and I think it was more raw. What was it over there? Yes, I hate when Americans call it Folklore. The real name is Folklore.
I think that it had souls in the title.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is
this
was also written by the guy who wrote Caligula Effect, I think, Folklore.
Are you fucking serious?
Because that was good from what I played.
Yeah, no, it's like it's really fucking cool.
I just looked it up, yeah.
He
worked on it at least. I don't know if he explicitly wrote it.
So
might have helped.
For those who don't know, Game Republic made that game, and that's the people who made what's that? Genji. So they made the Genji series. Multiple sources in the Japanese game industry said that company collapsed because the CEO was a madman who had no financial sanity.
Oh, that's sad.
It had really good designers, like a lot of ex-Capcom staff.
Yeah. Like I think the guy who originally made Onimusha worked on Genji.
Yeah. So they made some pretty good games, and then they just crashed hard.
Where did their developer? Oh no, they all went to Tango Gameworks.
Oh
no.
Please live.
They made The Evil Within, and then The Evil Within 2, which is fine.
They can't hear us. They have Last Gen in their ears. No,
they can't hear us. They can't hear us. They're owned by ZeniMax.
they can't hear us. The letterboxing is covering their ears.
I feel like I bring this up every single time the Evil Within 2 comes up, but you know what you get for beating the Evil Within 2? You unlock letterboxing.
Yeah.
It says, enjoy a more cinematic experience.
That's good.
I just remember seeing that clip on YouTube of the characters talking, saying, "There's evil within 2," and then they look
both
at
turn their
the
head
camera.
and stare at the camera.
That's wrong.
Bob, last thing from the state of play.
Yeah, what's that?
Iron Man VR being made
The
by
opener.
Camouflage, the people who made Republic, which was an iOS game featuring David Hayter.
It was not made by Game Republic.
And is not Game Republic, it is just the game Republic.
With a Q.
Republic. And it is on iOS. And David Hayter guides you out of some weird prison state? Question mark?
I still want to try that at some point.
Bob, we should give that game a chance.
Sure.
Stop giving games a chance.
Never! I will never stop giving games a chance because I believe in games. Because I'm a positive person. Casey,
You're right.
you got some news?
You run a very positive channel.
Thank you.
We didn't talk about what Iron Man even was. You play as Iron Man in VR.
You play as Iron Man in VR.
You explained what the company making it was and immediately left it.
The title, Iron Man VR. What do you do with it? You're Iron
Well-
Man in VR.
There we go. Moving
You
on.
know-
What's up,
you know what?
Casey?
Okay. Oh God, I saw how this starts.
What?
All right.
What was that?
For some reason, when Phil wrote up our notes, it said Peter Moore shrieking, so that's my best attempt.
Okay.
All right, so
Because when we talked about how we'd fix Anthem, he just screamed like Peter Moore when you suggested that Peter Moore be drug out of sports to become the monarch of L's for Anthem.
I think I'll skip this next one real quick and jump over to the announcement that Persona 5 is getting a new release. Persona 5 The Royal was announced this week, and there's a little bit of a
Sort of.
storyline to it. Let me get into it. I'm going to bitch about it. So, Atlas is a company that I hate because they make good games, but they are also brain dead. What they did was that they announced a brand new Persona 5 related project was happening in December 30th of last year, the very end. And then it's like, we wait. And people wonder, oh, when is this P5R going to be revealed? And then finally, they aired a commercial at the end of the final episode of the Persona 5 anime, the final OVA for it, because Lord knows they couldn't finish the game's plot in the anime run. They had to do OVAs to finish the story. And then they showed this teaser, which shows a female character, some dialogue, and they said, we'll give you information about what this is in a month and a half from now.
Yeah, they always do this. It's like, watch this boring variety show. Here's 10 seconds of footage at the end. It's like Atlas announces an announcement of an announcement. Then they announce the announcement, and then finally you get the announcement.
So I missed out this announcement of the announcement. Did it consist of some lady running on screen and also accepting an invitation to Smash? Is that how they did this?
No.
Or what is
People are assuming this is going because it shows a girl talking, and people are assuming, that must be who the data mine referred to as Jill, which probably.
Yeah, because the code name for the P5 protagonist in Smash's files is Jack, so it makes sense that Jill would be
the
this girl because the costume data for Jill has a ponytail, and so does this character.
And people think this is a female protagonist, and I'm going to say no, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, there's two sides to it because it's like she's a first year, whereas the main character's a second year.
Mm-hmm.
And also, her dialogue is literally her talking about the Phantom Thieves, so her being involved in the creation of them wouldn't make sense with the dialogue they gave us.
Right.
Atlas has said they don't want to do female protagonists again, which they can change their mind. But the big thing is, Persona 4, you could just do a female protagonist and you wouldn't really have to change very much. You'd have to rewrite big chunks of Persona 5 to do a
I
female
can't
protagonist.
imagine that intro where you're just getting the shit beat out of you by cops.
Like, not only that, like, the entire first arc changes. The antagonist of the first arc is a guy who physically abuses male students and
worse.
sexually abuses female ones. You'd have to completely redo that arc. And there's also just the fact that what is this big dick evil villain going to convince the police he was beaten up by a high school girl? So what I think is going to be, and we'll see how right I am, is that this will be a rival character that does not know Joker is the leader of the Phantom Thieves. So she'll be a social link and also like a rival character in some of the dungeons, and maybe she'll pop up and have like new boss fights, and she'll also have the wild card the way Joker does, where she can summon different persona, and that'll be why she's playable in Smash.
And my bet is, just as it is always with Gamer Premonitions, the most cynical. Okay, so they can't open with a savage beating. They'll just convert it gently into a rape, and that'll be okay. I'm sure that'll sell fine in America.
That costs money. That's the big thing, Dan. Like, I don't think they wouldn't do a really horrible new version of the first arc where you're sexually assaulted, but I do think they wouldn't because that would cost money.
I don't know if that's sad. It's like they would be completely tasteless if they could afford it. Like, see, that's maybe the worst thing I've ever heard about a company.
The first arc of Persona 5 is pretty well done. Like, I lost my breath at parts of that first arc.
Did Joker drop a pencil and bend over to pick it up? Is that why you lost your breath? Or?
Have you played Persona 5, Dan?
I have. Surrogate played it through Bob.
Well, there's a part where a girl attempts suicide and you just see it.
Wow.
And I had to leave the room.
Yeah, they just show her jump off the school building.
Like, you see her, you see but pretty much the aftermath of her being abused, and you talk to her a little bit, and then there's like a really long scene of everybody gathering her around her up on the roof, and she just jumps. And I had to step outside and catch my breath.
Yeah,
and then immediately after that arc, Persona 5 completely lost its balls.
Now, I am excited for Persona 5 The Royal when it comes out. Just because I really enjoyed that one.
I did also.
It's the only Persona game that the entire time is fun to play. There are just some parts in the other ones that are just rough.
There's definitely a lot of my problems with Persona 5 can definitely be fixed in a re-release like this. Like, maybe don't make the new party members you get for an arc be completely useless for their intro arc because core mechanics are tied to the social links.
Yeah, that'd be nice to fix. My take on these is always like, I'd love to play it again, but I don't have the time to do that. Like, that's like re-releasing the same game again. I just can't do it. I haven't even finished all the extra stuff in 5.
I mean, if there's like enough sizable content that's worth going through it again, I'll just do it for videos. That's the only way I can justify it. Or I'm like, I'll just make content off it. I'll do that because apparently fucking Atlas is toothless, and we'll say, "Oh, we'll get you if you make content out of this." No, you won't. No, you won't. All you did was stress me out during the entire run of Persona 5. I really hate the way they announce these things. It's worse than any other company. Even Square Enix has the idea of giving me something. This was just, there's a girl. Bye.
Get excited.
At least with Final Fantasy VII's remake, I'm like, all right, these visuals look cool.
Bob, you are familiar with the company I'm about to talk about, and I want you to compare which one's worse, okay?
Sure.
On an announcement PR level. Which is worse, Atlas announcing a new game, or Blackmagic Design announcing a new camera, saying they're selling it this year, not beginning to ship for 11 and a half months just so they don't have to go to
Hey, Bob, help me vent.
No. It's fucking hilarious. This company can never ship things in a timely manner. They went to a conference, the major one for cameras and broadcast equipment. They announced this camera with all these amazing features. They're like, we're selling it this year. They shipped 2 weeks before the conference next year, so they didn't have to attend it again with people being like, you didn't even fucking ship the camera you showed last year, assholes. So which one's more farcical? Do you think?
I think Atlas is. Like,
okay.
I think the promises of Atlas with like the thing where they teased it in freaking December.
Right.
And then we get another tease
in March.
Yeah, they've done this for I have known people pissed off for years when before Persona 5 came out in like 2015,
They're like, this is fucking bullshit. I stayed up till 4 in the morning to watch this stupid fucking variety show to get a trailer, and it was one screenshot of empty chairs. This is fucking bullshit.
And I'm like, well, you owned yourself.
Yeah, no, I just don't even worry about it. I just don't look into it. Just it'll show up eventually.
Meanwhile, the counterbalance to this is the Sony Nintendo Direct happened. I woke up a little early and I was still pissed.
I saw that tweet. I laughed. I was like, oh my god, damn.
I could have stayed in bed. That would have been better.
Sleep as is.
I was like, time to relaxingly wake up over the course of the next 50 minutes as I sort of fall asleep again and wake up again. Oh no, there's the Sony thing. Well, time to drive over to Bob's to watch that on our TV. Oh, it's fucking garbage.
And already over.
Here's another illustration of how bad Atlas is compared to most other companies when it comes to announcements. January 2017, they announced a new Shin Megami Tensei game for Switch. As the big main line. It was just, here's our models, here's Odin, he looks dope, it's a game. Silence until October of that year, where they had 50 seconds of new footage for a trailer saying, yeah, it's called 5 now. That is the last time they've done a trailer. That's the last time they've done a trailer for this game. And I believe it was February or March of last year, they said, all right, guys, or actually might have been later in the year, they made the statement, we're finally ready to begin production. And I almost fucking threw up.
Like, yeah, Atlas is the absolute worst about, like, we're announcing this game when we had the idea.
We had
it's the Spiral idea. Cross Shin Megami Tensei. Put it in the Nintendo Direct, it'll be fine.
Like,
use art for both of those series.
Square, the reason is they fucked up and they had to start over. With this, you didn't even start.
So,
I mean, I feel like Nintendo was like, hey, can you announce this now, please? So people get excited.
Can you announce this? Look at the Wii U right now.
So, KZ, what else do you got on your news?
Okay, so they just kind of dropped this on Twitter. There was no, like, event where this was shown, as far as I know.
Wasn't it shown at... I think it was shown at Apple. I think it was at Apple's.
Oh, man.
It wasn't actually there.
It wasn't actually there.
They on that tweet, they say it's going to be on the Apple Arcade. Like, that's how they advertise it.
But it wasn't there.
They advertised it in their tweet announcing it. Shantae 5 is confirmed to be coming out this year. Coming out for all the major platforms as well as Apple Arcade. And that's cool. They're not crowdfunding this time.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Which always feels good. I have a lot of fun
with Half Genie Hero, so as long as they keep on that path, I'm good.
I like the logo. I like her using her hair to make a 5.
Yeah, I enjoy that also.
I wonder if we'll get to see what... I wonder what kinks will be shown as various bosses and challenges in this game.
I like the fan art someone sent in of if they made a Shantae during the N64 era, and it just said her hair formed the 64, and she seemed horrified. But yeah,
I don't really have much. I don't have much of a take. I haven't played many of those games.
The most recent was really solid.
Mm-hmm. Which is great because that Kickstarter dropped at the same time as the Mighty Number 9 one.
Yeah, and they saved me from giving Keiji Inafune $80. I changed my Mighty Number 9 pledge
Only a
to 20
fool would give Keiji Inafune money.
Cease this assault at once.
I mean, I still gave him $20. I just moved most of it to Shantae.
Mighty Number 9 is bad. Burn it. You have to let go of the past, Dan. The Mighty Number 9 review won't bring you happiness. Please, ma'am. I know I'm an anime avatar, but please give me a chance.
Hey, everybody! We got another piece of news here. So today there was at PAX. It has been foretold, allegedly, over the past few weeks, that finally Borderlands 3 would be announced, and it was announced during a 10 out of 10 presentation, in which...
No, I didn't watch this presentation, so I'm relying on you and Phil to talk me through
I paid 100% attention to it. I was excited to see what Randy
Dan,
and the boys had to do.
Let me put it this way, Dan. Imagine if I wrote...
never help himself.
I wrote the presentation, and that is what happened.
What?
At one point, a trailer crashed,
Okay.
At one point, a trailer crashed.
Okay.
And they pulled up the taskbar on what they were running it on, and you could see they were running it in VLC.
What? See, when
The
you
trailer
said
froze. It didn't work.
when you said imagine I wrote it, I was like, did Pitchford get on stage and go, Borderlands 3 is a fuck you made by fuck you?
Okay.
He got on. He did card tricks for 15 minutes because they didn't have enough content for a real presentation.
Let me regale you with what happened with what happened here until Phil explodes again.
I'm not going to explode. I don't.
That was incredible. So they were doing a PAX panel for Borderlands stuff. They come out immediately and they're like, "Here's our creative director on the new Borderlands title," and they were kind of running a bit where Randy would not let that dude talk at all, which was hilarious because I feel like that dude was actively getting upset. And they started they started showing the teaser and saying this is a character from the game, and then they transitioned off that. They talked about some of the collaborations they've done, like Bulletstorm and a Tiny Build game. There's the Risk of Rain 2 that they're
that one
publishing.
was funny. They're publishing Risk of Rain 2, and Risk of Rain devs put out a press release that effectively said, "Don't worry, they're not touching any part of that game themselves."
Yeah, they were it's just a way for them to get the publishing done. They revealed the Borderlands tabletop game they're making, and they brought in like 2 audience members so that Randy fucking Pitchford could do a magic trick where they're like, we're gonna pull out this deck of cards, autograph this card, and then he asks the girl, I need you to pick a number between 1 and 50. And then they were going to, go through the number and then pick the one that has the name, of course. She said 47. And he's like, Are you sure? And gave her fucking 5 or 6 outs because he's like, oh, shit. I have to deal 47 cards on this stage. And she didn't back down. And turns out the card wasn't there. It wasn't in that deck. But she had one. So she had to deal the 47, and then it was there because he's a magician. He's a grand sorcerer.
Magicians are just professional liars when you think about it.
Allegedly magical. So they finally reached toward the end here, and they had to show off that they're doing a PS4 Pro, Xbox One X update to the Handsome Collection, so that they have Ultra HD textures and stuff like that. And they tried to play the fucking video. It broke 3 times, and then it ran at like 8 frames a second. In fact, I posted a tweet. I'll put it in the general of our little Discord here. Of this appeared on the stream. It was so bad that we got to see their whole computer set up, and they couldn't get it to work. They were getting closer to the point where clearly they're about to announce Borderlands 3. Randy looks terrified because he's like, "Oh my god, this is the big fucking moment for this game that we've been not revealing for years,
for like 6 years."
It's gonna fuck up. It fucked up. Like, it ran at a really bad frame rate, but they showed off the game quickly before we get into it. Looked cool. But
Looks like Borderlands.
Yeah, he made it play. They played it a couple more times until they could get it to run at the proper. Proper frame rate.
I don't understand how that happens.
Just because he was just talking about it's the setup that they didn't bring their own tech. It was all the PAX stuff that they had for that fucking room.
I hate that sort of thing. Like when we went to that local film festival, they just had the worst fucking setup. And I watched the film that I delicately color grade get murdered by this projector and the garbage Chromebook or whatever they hooked it up to.
You could tell he was just losing his fucking mind. He's like,
because there's not a human being in the gaming industry I want to see fucking losing on stage like him.
He made a comment that was like, I love PAX, but man, this is having some problems. And apparently they've been working on the game. They've been working on this game for 5 years, is what he said.
It seems bizarre that you would have like a big announcement like this, not bring your own stuff.
PAX
5
is like
years.
one of those. Yeah,
that's what he said.
Freaking, how long ago was that trash game?
That was about 5 years ago.
3. Battleborn was 2016. I think it was the same year as Overwatch, so it was like 3 years ago.
I'm sure they've had a team working on this. Oh yeah, that makes sense because pre-sequel wrapped up
my
2014, it says.
Yeah, but
Well,
that
that
wasn't
wasn't
the
even
same developer, and then they went
Oh.
out of business.
Then that
Uh,
means
pre-sequel
that
didn't
means
sell
that
enough.
they've had plenty of time to.
Yeah, no,
work
they've
on
spent this entire gen talking about how they're working on Border Worlds, which this actually did have multiple worlds, so
Yeah.
that seemed to reflect
Yeah,
the
it's,
leak.
I looked at it, and the game looks great. Like, I want it. The fact that there was a really great part at the beginning where they said, "So you think we're making a Borderlands battle royale?" The amount of booing that hit. He's like, "Don't worry, those games are fun. We're not making that."
And then he
You-
went, and then after that presentation, he went to his hotel room and crossed it off his notepad.
Of course he did. They canceled development on that.
I mean, it's
I'm-
fucking
a
insane.
lot of
They
people-
couldn't make a fucking battle royale if they wanted to. They can't even code a single player game to run at 30 frames per fucking second. Sitting there acting like, yeah, we could have done this, but we didn't want to. Haha, that would be stupid, right? Fuckers. They couldn't even make. Dude, what? Battleborn runs at like 12 frames a second and it looks like dog shit while doing it while being an aimless pile of crap. Don't act like you're above it, you piece of shit. Allegedly.
I was gonna make a strong effort to not dump on this game because I think it looks fine. For
I'm
people
not
who want
dumping
that.
on this game.
And then
I'm dumping
Dan
on him.
tags in and brings the bat.
And
Just brings the bat on Battleborn.
yeah, that game is bad.
But,
that game is bad.
I'm really
in the moment we insinuated we might like do a video on it.
Yes.
The moment we insinuated we might do a video on it, one of our followers on Twitter is like, "Hey, don't even suggest that because their Twitter account is literally just searching the name, and they're gonna find you and DMCA the video." And then Gearbox liked that tweet.
I thought the Gearbox themselves came in and was like, yeah, don't do that.
No, they didn't say that.
Okay.
Our then viewer warned us, and then Gearbox liked that tweet in the most passive aggressive fucking bullshit ever. I was like, fucking, yeah, we get it. NDA.
I found it refreshing that from the looks of this, it just looks like they're just making another Borderlands. It's not attempting to be Borderlands transition to a Destiny-like.
If I had to guess, I would assume they did not have the money to do that.
No,
That's
it's that they
fine,
don't
because-
have any of the anything you need to do that. You need to have good network code. You need to have
Let's be clear, not having those people doesn't mean they wouldn't try, but it's a stunning show of self-awareness that they aren't trying regardless.
It took 5 years for a
clearly
reason,
looks
is
like
all I'm
they're
saying.
like it just looks like they're going for, what they're known for, what people want, which
Right.
is just a new Borderlands that's on the current generation. There is a gun with legs. I got really hyped
I think
about
they
this gun. That
I think
gun
they
ran.
actually might be leaning away from like the more Destiny elements because they've the leak had a bunch of stuff about gun customization, which means like there might be less the loot treadmill might be different.
It might be different, but one of the things in the trailer is like, we got 1 billion guns.
Yeah, of course. Fucking course.
Honestly, loot treadmill in Borderlands never upset me.
We have 1 billion guns and none of them feel good or satisfying to use.
I don't know. I bet they're fine. I think you're just a hater.
But yeah, I don't know. The game seemed fine. To be honest, visually, it really didn't look drastically better than 2.
I mean, I kind of have I would not be surprised if we're 4K updating everything translates to now we can repurpose some of those assets in this game.
Could you imagine how much they would get shit on for that? Where it's
Well,
just
I mean,
like,
presumably it'll be intermixed enough that you won't just be able to tell.
Yeah.
I assume this will be the ODST situation where it's like, guys, this part of town straight from 1.
Look, you might revisit some classic locations, and that's a cool throwback.
They might look identical.
And
but
that's a cool
they
throwback.
might, they
a
might be
homage.
raw. I generally like schlooters. Is that what we're calling these?
No.
Schlooters?
We're calling them looter shooters because it's a good name, and I have no idea why someone would have a
okay.
problem with that.
Okay.
We're calling them blooters, bang looters.
I like the sound of blooters, Dan.
It's pretty
bad.
strong. So now
Okay.
we're moving on to Feel's news.
But
Feel,
what? Blooters are great.
we're moving
I'm really,
on.
I'm really excited for this game.
Feel, I have a quick
Did
question.
I stroke out and we didn't talk about Mortal Kombat at all?
Oh shit, we didn't. You just highlighted it.
What?
Mortal
No,
Kombat
we talked-
11 had a trailer. It was a story trailer. There was a slow motion
Nut punch in the opening.
Nut punch. It had
was
a
a
really
really
cool
good
theming
trailer.
of old versus new. So they used like old
They
hip
used
hop
like
versus
90s
new.
hip hop and then modern ones as they switched back and forth between.
That
the,
game looks so
characters.
fucking good.
It looks good. It looks a
Sorry.
lot of good. It looks really fun. I like that these apparently aren't the MK9 versions of characters. They're just the 90s Mortal Kombat 1 on the Genesis versions of these characters traveling through time, which looks incredible.
They had two separate trailers, like the one from a few weeks ago that was very serious in tone, showing the plot, and this, and I'm like, there's a lot going on here.
It's great.
That
But
was
yeah,
actually
I'm
during
really-
the state of play, so
Yeah.
they got one good thing in there.
Yeah.
Yep, really pumped for that. Feel you're free to
Speaking
talk
of which,
about video games.
things that were during the state of play that Bob's segment didn't cover. Feel you seem to have a game in there that we forgot.
No one.
What?
Yeah, Days Gone. Which was
Where'd
by
it
far
go?
the funniest part of the state of play, because they went, let's look at some new gameplay of Days Gone. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. I counted.
Why'd
They
you count?
So there's
Because I went back and counted because it seemed really short. So in here, it was literally Days Gone man with his toque and his kombucha shooting into a crowd of zombies that aren't reacting to being shot, and then the gameplay segment is over.
and there was a lot of scenes of him talking to people. You know, you get a sense that there's a lot of history with him.
There
There's
was
a lot
a trailer
of politics,
cut like a Marvel movie trailer,
and it just kept
almost
going.
put me to sleep.
And I kept thinking, this is going to be a bad enough marketing campaign where they're going to come out and be like, our zombie game is really about the people, not the zombies.
I'm dissolving.
That trailer they did, the cinematic trailer of all the story segments, which, by the way, 3 minutes of trailer about the story. I don't know what the story of that game is.
We were biker man.
I don't
you have,
remember
you have to
what
save
happened.
girlfriend.
You're the guy from Days Gone, and his girlfriend may be dead, and someone's like, hey, does it
Dan.
matter if everyone else dies? And that's a deep
His name
thing.
is Days Gone Man.
Sorry.
That's the character's name.
I need
Days
to-
Gone.
I need to
Man.
look
That
it
is
up.
that
It's
is
probably
not
worse.
his name.
It's probably
That is
worse
not
than
his
that.
name. Excuse you. His name is Deacon St. John.
There it is.
That's worse than mine.
Yeah,
No, Deacon St. John is raw.
My
A
girlfriend
former
is
outlaw
dead.
turned drifter and bounty hunter.
I need to deal
It's
with
just
all these
That
freakers.
trailer. That
Would die if they
trailer.
did that.
Oh my god, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die
That
now.
trailer felt like something you make when you have no ideas.
I should buy that game.
Oh, I'm playing it for
owning
the
myself
podcast.
by just you're
Can
gonna
we
play
all
it
buy it
from
and do a Days
Redbox.
Gone spoiler cast?
Days Gone spoiler cast, yes!
No,
No one would watch it.
I'm getting so
I'm not
pumped.
going to. I'm not going to play that game.
Here's
Here's what the spoiler cast would be. I'd play it for 4 hours and go, "This is a subpar Ubisoft style game," and then sell it.
Feel for the podcast. For the podcast, feel for the podcast.
Feel. Wait, it's for
Look.
the podcast, for the content.
I will watch whatever terrible movie you want. I will not play a 20 to 30
Hey.
hour long Ubisoft style game.
Hey, you should do this just like you did God of War. You'll play it, you'll be insane, unrealistic, and whine about it on Twitter for 6 months, and it'll be over.
I don't
Just
think
6
I was
months.
I don't think I was unreasonable by this game has a bad story. Stop saying it's fucking ambrosia from the heaven.
Feel, it's me, Deacon St. John. I'm in the new game, Days Gone. Check it out and shake it, gamer.
You need to send Phil a copy of Days Gone in mail.
I write it
Days
off on my
Gone.
taxes to own it.
Days Gone needs a Duke Nukem mode.
Yeah, no, I'm about.
They
to
can
go
even
back
do
and
the
read
bullet storm. They can even do the bullet storm thing where it doesn't fit at all and is bad. I don't even care. It would
You
make
just have
Days Gone
Dan
more
here. He'll do it
hilarious.
for you.
Yeah, I'll just go back and redub the trailer.
Just do a stream of it. Get it from Redbox. Do a stream and just yell in that voice over any time he talks.
Yeah,
His
that's
girlfriend is just Gilbert Gottfried.
This is bullshit, Deacon. Don't you care if everybody dies? Blow it out your ass.
Blow it out your ass.
This
So I hear we have
let's
other.
move on.
Yeah, let's move.
Please look forward to
So-
our Days Gone spoiler cast hosted by Mr. Field.
So the Shadow of Mordor games are like cartoonishly cynical to me, where it's like you play as
Rubbing
this
your
super
hands together.
not just that, but like you play as this super badass who's more badass than Strider and could beat him in a fight. Also, he is the Bright Lord, and the spider is here, and she is a sexy lady and your ally.
I don't
Like
wanna
it's
fuck
that
a
level.
spider.
It's like that level of trash. But I'll take that over Lord of the Rings : Gollum, which is being made.
I hope this is a VR game or something where it's just like
It's,
messing around as Gollum, but it's probably
the
not.
developers making it made point and click adventure games. They made Deponia, which I played an hour of and thought the protagonist was the most unlikable character I've ever seen in anything.
Your tweet
has
for
a-
this summed it up perfectly when you said, tell me this is an Onion article.
Yeah, I thought it was a fucking joke. Because it just seems like, what do we do with the Lord of the Rings license? We make a game where you're fucking Gollum.
Yeah, I mean, Bob's right. It's going to be VR, and it's going to simulate the experience of having scoliosis.
No, you get that. Just hang out
Finally,
with
I know how Phil lives.
circus something.
I'd rather have the
Andy Serkis?
VRV experience.
What's the name of the actor?
Andy
Oh, no.
Serkis. You
Okay,
said it
Andy
right.
Serkis. There we
Yeah.
go.
No, Chris Pratt.
See, we should play as Andy Serkis doing performances throughout all these CG things. So like you go from Lord of the Rings to Heavenly Sword, you know? That'd be
He
good.
was also Ninja Theory really liked Andy Serkis because they brought him back for the stupid fucking Journey West thing they did.
Oh, don't say that stupid or fucking. A certain Xeon somebody might leave a comment.
Oh, here he comes.
All I can remember is the guy
Dragon
who
Ball.
wrote 28 Days Later being like, yeah, they seem to think that the protagonist just killing people for no reason made him badass. I thought it made him an unlikable cunt. And that was literally the wording he used. He's like, that was our difference in approach to character.
Raw.
His literal line, I think, was, there's a scene where a guy is trying to climb up a ledge because he fell and he's trying to get back up, and Monkey kicks him off instead of helping him, and that means Monkey is a badass.
Well, see, here's the thing. Check this out. Heavenly Sword, very God of War inspired. This guy being a giant asshole, very God of War inspired. Like, that scene you described just sounded like a scene from God of War 1, where...
That's the opening of God of War 1 when you go inside the Hydra and pull the captain up.
Oh, that's true.
And
Yeah.
it would be less effort for Kratos to save him,
Yep.
but Kratos just kills him.
So really what we need is the VR David Jaffe simulator, where you start quote retweeting people on Twitter in order to get them bodied by your number of followers.
Debate me on my live stream. I'm David Jaffe.
Unless the person quote tweeting you has too many followers like me, and then he doesn't do it because he's afraid. Because he's like, oh God, I'm just a guy in my basement now. I can't pick a fight with somebody with almost as many followers as me.
His YouTube channel is insane.
His YouTube
Does that
channel looks
banner
like
kill
an
me?
anime club and an 8-year-old's birthday party fused.
His avatar is Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's
Guys,
really funny how he's
guys.
like, here's all my characters I created, and Spider-Man.
Guys, we can't bully David Jaffe like this. That's not fair. Only David
You
Jaffe
have
gets
more
to
subscribers than David Jaffe.
David Jaffe gets to. That's fucking hilarious. David Jaffe can bully women on Twitter, but we shouldn't bully him here. That's not acceptable or respectable.
We should be above that. We should be above David Jaffe.
right. We should be better than
He's
David
excited
Jaffe.
about Google Stadia, though.
We should not bully David Jaffe on this podcast. We should be like Jaffe and go bully some people on Twitter. Anyone know his children's Twitter handles? Anyone? So we can go bully them.
I haven't committed that to memory.
I feel like he would respect me.
I just see a video here called "Let's Debate Stadia VR Gamer Logic" with a smiley at the end.
Yeah, no, he has some takes on that where it's clear he wants attention.
Right, of
And
course.
he's not getting it, and oh boy. Anyway, so I hear Judgment's release date is unchanged, and the actor is going to be replaced somehow. Tell me more about that, Mr. Feel.
Yeah, they're just cutting the guy who did cocaine, who got caught with coke. They're just cutting him out. They're just gonna make a new model and slot it into the cutscenes.
Okay, well, that's cool. You know, I also heard Bethesda get some fucking common sense. all games previously intended to be stuck on Bethesda's
You
launcher.
you don't have to read these bullet points exactly, Dan. They're more for
by
my
the way,
benefit.
if you're gonna do that, can Feel read it with the movie suit voice, please?
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Phil.
Bethesda gets some fucking common sense. All games previously intended to be stuck on Bethesda's launcher and upcoming titles will be on Steam.
I love it.
They
It's
folded.
my favorite.
They folded like a fucking card.
And it's great. I'm really glad. Fuck them.
Yeah, their launcher with nobody's
they
going
want
to use
money,
that.
and this will give them money.
I'm really fucking tired of corporate greed.
The thing with Bethesda wasn't even, I don't want to use another launcher. It was, your security is so bad, I don't trust you with my financial information.
Yeah.
Like
that's
when
fair.
Fallout 76 came out, people were like, I submitted a support ticket, but it logged me in as one of your employees, and now I can see everyone's support tickets?
Yep.
Yep.
Bethesda can't ship
So-
a game
so
that
yeah,
is
I'm-
stable, so we should trust them with a launcher?
Hmm.
And speaking of Steam, Square Enix, in a move that I can only assume is some insane psychotic paranoia related to the upcoming Switch versions, has patched always online DRM into Final Fantasy X-2 HD 3 years after it came out.
It's got to be for that, because we're 1 month out from the Switch version, and they're like, "Oh well, we don't want people just pirating the PC version," which makes me doubly think that they're just using the PC one for the Switch version.
But they're insane. You're insane.
It is insane. It is absolute. It is nutty.
And
but-
also the DRM broke the game for a lot of people. So
Yeah.
like.
That's unfortunate.
By Square Enix, I don't know if you know that the Switch is portable and therefore has an intrinsic value to versions of the game on it that a PC version does not have, so you don't really need to do this.
You know, I'm really glad you brought up the Switch, because there was a piece of news I actually missed out on that we should probably talk about here.
Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers. Did you know that's on the Switch? You can buy it for your grandson.
Fucking shit.
But no, what was it? Wall
need to get a
Street
grant.
Journal, and then after that, Eurogamer talked about the more concrete leaks about the SKUs of the Switch coming out.
revisions.
Yeah, where this year's SKU that is going to happen is going to be portable only, may not even output to a TV, is having rumble removed and is aimed at being cheaper. And they refer to the other model as having more high-end features for gamers, but they haven't said anything else other than that. Like, I think their phrasing was avid gamers. Like, so
Attention gamers.
I don't know if they're doing a three-way.
Attention, epic gamers.
Now this is gonna be epic, and that's how Bowser. What's his name? Is it Bowser? His last name?
Doug Bowser.
I cannot
you go.
believe that. I cannot. Anyway,
It is.
That's how he introduces himself on the next Nintendo Direct. He starts the whole Direct by going, "Now this is gonna be epic," and then he dabs. But yeah,
wish.
I don't know if
I wish.
like, because when you consider what hardcore or avid gamer means in the market today, that means Xbox One X, PS4 Pro. It's unclear whether or not they're going for that, like a higher resolution box, or if it's like what it means exactly. But I wonder if they're going to have a three-way SKU going forward of like the Switch normal, which switches, and then a weird high-end set-top and a really cheap portable. But I
I have
really
a prediction on this
that feels
high-end
like the
one
obvious
that they're
way.
talking about.
yeah.
I feel like the high-end one is just going to be a little better. Like, I don't expect it to really push the envelope a lot, but it'll make certain games that are Xenoblade Chronicles 2 run better.
run.
Because-
Period.
Right, I
They-
was kind of
it runs.
expecting
I
feel like
the
they'll
new 3DS sort of tier of upgrade, like better screen,
Yeah,
better.
Except
that.
I don't think there will absolutely 100% not be exclusive software like there was for
Yeah,
the
they
new-
won't.
Right.
They're not
No.
doing that. It's
I mean,
just
the thing
better
is, like,
performance.
I feel like it'll just be like your games can have a higher resolution and will run more stably.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, most Nintendo exclusives on the Switch actually have dynamic resolutions.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. just take advantage of
Xenoblade
that.
Chronicles 2 Xenoblade Chronicles 2 could get down to like 366.
Yeah,
That's just in portable mode.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is also a dynamic frame rate. It can go to 1.
Yeah, it
Very
makes it
dynamic.
epic.
It's very dynamic.
It's raw though.
I think the performance leap is going to be substantial, honestly, and here's why. I think it behooves NVIDIA to provide the most powerful chip they can to justify the cost. I think
a horse?
right before. Oh, I heard you the first time, sweetie. I think the funny thing is, like, when the Switch shipped, they could have actually included the next APU thing from NVIDIA, the next system on a chip, which was substantially more powerful, but they didn't. They went with an older one that was weaker. And, you know, it's been years since that was even a thing. So the performance gap of just doing, say, a smaller process node of that one that they could have shipped with, the successor Tegra chip, would be a pretty massive power increase. And that's not even considering the whole, if you make it a console only, you can drive up voltages higher. You can make it get hotter than a portable. Because a portable, like, you've heard the Switch when it gets hot. It's trying its best.
I haven't. First of all, ew. Second of all, no, I haven't.
Oh, really?
I mean, I've touched it and been like, Jesus Christ.
But yeah,
I went row one time, yeah.
I think that's going to be a more substantial performance increase than the new 3DS from the 3DS. But that actually was a pretty big leap even then. If I remember correctly,
Maybe
that
the
was...
revisions can have Joy-Cons with good D-pads or something.
If anything, with... Who knows? Maybe they'll accidentally make a good D-pad for the portable.
Well, you won't be able to detach them, so they have no reason not to use a normal fucking D-pad that they have copyrighted.
Because a lot of people don't realize that, like, not having detachable Joy-Cons actually makes it cheaper. Like, just that one thing. Like, if you hard attach...
because you need to make sure that mechanism works.
Right. You have to manufacture it separately. You have to make sure it passes QA to properly latch on. It. Yeah, you got to nurture it.
You got to get a horse.
There's a lot of stuff that gets more expensive when you make something segmented like the actual Switch. But I mean, the original Switch is still an amazing thing, and I still believe in that. Like, I think it's a great idea, but I think Nintendo getting their cloud saving working up and running, maybe they're hopeful that people will, I don't know, want to live a lifestyle where they have a portable version and a console version, or just, you know, people like Jeff Gerstmann. Jeff Gerstmann doesn't play the Switch in portable mode. He just uses that as a console. And to be honest, me too.
And the big one is the portable one will have a battery that isn't pathetic.
Right, because you can fit a larger battery in it when it doesn't have to segment. Like, you
They'll
can,
probably
and when it
use
doesn't
materials that are, you know, it could take a fall.
Yeah.
The leak was explicitly like, this is going to be so if your kid drops it, you're not out $300.
Right. Like, maybe
So I think
price
like a
shit.
2DS.
I think it'll be
kinda
like
the
a
2DS.
bigger, chunkier thing without the Joy-Cons. It'll be fastened. It'll have a bigger battery, and it'll be like $200.
So
It'll
I'm
have
thinking,
a tribal tattoo on it. It'll be good.
I'm thinking it'll be 175 or 200, like Phil was saying. Like, I feel like that price range is right, but I think it's actually going to be smaller. And I think a large part of how it can do that is, you know, they're going to be using a processor made this year, designed recently, that's going to be able to be more power efficient, and a screen that's smaller. So they're going to be able to last longer on a smaller battery, even, you know, using that sort of technology. So I'm really interested in this portable exclusive Switch, weirdly enough, even though I mostly use it in console mode.
Yeah, I'm just interested in how it'll look. I think my guess on what it'll be priced at is $1 because we do Price is Right rules.
Then
So wait,
then,
that means
then I'm going to do
Felix-
150 and then just screws for you.
Why don't you do $2?
That's just
Bob.
that's just cheap. I want to
Come
say
on, Bob.
150 because then I can beat you guys too. I have that possibility.
Okay, so you're 150, I'm 175, feels 200, and KZ's anywhere.
I'm 100 not. I'm 199.99. Let's not go 200.
Look,
yeah,
I'm not going to be an
Damn it, he knew my
asshole.
plan.
God.
No one's gonna. Whatever. Also, every time I try to,
every time I meet someone who's like, it's not $200, it's $199.
We're gonna say
what
we're
does
gonna
that
say
matter?
the price is what it is after tax.
That person is
Okay.
a mutant.
That's perfectly
Bob,
fair.
that human being is not actually a human being. They're
They're a pod
they're
person.
one of the doppelgangers from Jordan Peele's new movie.
I every time I try to imagine the form factor of this new cheaper portable Switch, it's terrible. Because
Let me guess.
No.
Let me
Okay.
speak psychic. Let me
Okay.
use my psychic powers. You're imagining the fucking Wii U tablet.
Worse.
Oh God.
What's the name of that thing, Bob? The game tap Zodiac?
Oh, yeah, that
Zodiac
thing.
Wave? What the fuck was the
I
name
think
of that?
all those are right. I think that all are part of the
They're
name.
all of that same shitty, like, this plastic looks like it'll fall apart. I don't know. It's just the thought of, like, it has these Joy-Cons. What if they were a part of it? And my brain does that operation in the most terrible way.
I'm actually thinking it might be like going for just like they might scale down the screen a lot and have
Yeah.
it like a Game Boy Advance, but slightly bigger than that.
Right, and that's the great thing
Like,
about
that could
this
be really
portable. It's a single screen.
Right.
So you can get it pretty small, realistically. Admittedly, at a certain size, the HUDs
Right,
are going to be
yeah.
an issue.
That does become a thing.
That's definitely a
I don't
thing.
know how much smaller it'll really be.
It's definitely going to be smaller, though. Even just combining the Joy-Cons with the console will make it smaller.
They might even go to like a Vita size screen, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's going to end up somewhere mildly above the Vita, maybe the exact size as the Vita. I think that's right. I'm
Something you can actually pocket.
I'm telling you, the thing's it's gonna luck into having a good D-pad, and we're gonna laugh our asses off because the cheapest, worst experience you can have, like performance-wise, is gonna be the definitive D-pad experience.
I don't understand why Nintendo doesn't just make a D-pad left Joy-Con.
Yeah,
They're crazy.
It's weird that they don't just make the 2D controller.
Right?
Honestly, Sony's the only company who I think shouldn't have to worry about that. But then again, Xbox doesn't have that many. Well, they have a lot of indie games,
Right.
but indie games are like, you want to move on a 2D plane with a stick, right? And I'm like, no. Anyway,
I do.
you're disgusting. Smash Bros is
I
the
haven't
only
used a D.
Smash Bros is the
I haven't
only
used a
game
D-pad
that has
for.
ever justified using a stick on a 2D plane.
I have not used a D-pad to play a 2D game in forever. I'm a depraved mongrel.
KZ, we have to talk.
All right, what's up?
Bad news. We're going to lose Phil as a co-host. Good news. You get his share of the podcast money.
Yes, I'm blowing all of my money on your TV, so now I'll have more. I can buy Days Gone for Feel. I'll buy it for him anyway.
Even though he's not on the podcast, we're just going to buy it for
His
him.
final podcast will be the Days Gone spoiler cast.
But Dan, you forget. Smash Ultimate is a 3D game because attacks can miss from characters swaying forward and backwards.
That is still just the most fucked thing about that
In
game.
terms of 3D fighters, I think Guys might be a bit better.
Just a little bit. You know, the hit detection's better. It runs at a fluid 60 frames per second. You know, if you get 8 Ice Climbers players in there, 16 Ice Climbers total, it runs a little choppy, Bob. Did you know that? Did you know that about Smash?
Can you get 16 Ice Climbers in Energates?
No, but you can get...
See?
You can get...
It's invalid.
Oh, no. Any game without an Ice Climber isn't a real video game, Bob video games.
I guess that means we should just compromise and play Balls 3D.
Oh no. We let Aggro on the cast and we didn't even know.
Ah,
KZ's
shit.
secret Dr. Aggro.
Why do I have a moose picture on my wall?
It just materializes when you talk about Balls 3D. I'm sorry.
It's
Oh,
like
no,
the
this
painting
isn't
from
good.
Ghostbusters 2.
Yes.
No.
The moose's name is Vigo.
Casey looks at us and has like Vega or moose antlers. He's like, no, there is no KZ anymore. There is only moose.
That's raw.
Welcome to my room with a moose.
So, you were talking about the Switch. You're talking about the Switch and news with it.
Mm-hmm.
We have a piece of news here that is Nintendo related.
What? Casey turned into a chopper and flew away.
Monolith Soft, who makes Xenoblade Chronicles, and they helped on Breath of the Wild, they are hiring for another Zelda project, which I've already seen people mad at. Just like, oh, god damn it, Xenoblade 3 is going to be bad too.
What if?
Which,
and hear me out. Are you ready for this?
Ruh-roh.
It's fine. I'm not gonna say it. They all know what I'm gonna say, so there's no point in saying it.
What do you? No, I'd like to hear it.
Something
I don't know what you're
incorrect.
gonna say. I don't know what you're gonna say.
This is gonna say I'm really excited about the thought of them making another Zelda game. What the fuck do you people think I was gonna say? Jesus Christ.
Something about there never being a good Xenoblade game, but I guess.
I don't think that's going to happen because I feel like them hiring new people is kind of like, now we don't have to put all our experienced people on the Zelda game. We can split them.
Yeah, because that's what they did. They have a chunk of their team supporting the Zelda game, which I'm fine with because I enjoyed Breath of the Wild. I thought Xenoblade 2 was great.
Quick question. I want somebody who has the perspective that I lack to explain this to me. What about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 makes people think that critical staff from the prior games, what about it is worse in a way that makes people think critical staff from the prior games were missing?
The story, for one.
But those people wouldn't even be working on anything like in Zelda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand it. It's like, oh man.
Here's the thing. I don't understand this take. I played some of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I didn't play X. That may be where my knowledge has a gap.
Gotcha.
But a lot of people were like, the area designs are so much worse in 2 than they were in Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Okay.
And apparent, it's probably not that, because when Dark Souls 2 came out, a lot of people were like, the B team became a meme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where anytime it was like, oh, the FromSoft's B team, and then it was like, no, we don't actually have a B team. That's not a thing.
I mean, like literally everything I've ever heard about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 translates pretty well to the original and X of runs really fucking bad.
I didn't understand most of the negative takes for Xenoblade 2 aside from, good God, those designs sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
they're
being
raw.
a Digimon characters is kind of weird, but it's something you have to
No,
get used
I
to.
just meant some of the female characters just yikes. Like, what are you doing?
What are you,
but
what are you talking
the worst one, though, wasn't even real.
Look, guys. What about your anime women? Don't you want to be two vacuum sealed ham hocks being in the shirts?
But I went through the entire game. I thoroughly enjoyed the areas, the exploration in it. It was too cluttered though. Like in general, the game had a lot of mechanical like feature creep on it. You get tutorials like halfway through that game.
Holy shit.
You get a tutorial in the final chapter. They give you a tutorial for a new mechanic.
Jesus Christ.
See, that's not as epic as Trails of Cold Steel, which has an entirely new form of combat just for the final boss.
Devil May Cry 1 did that.
Honestly, reminds me of
Don't talk about Mundus.
I mean, they use it a bunch in 2, and then it's part of 3 and 4 also, but it's just funny. It's like, final boss, entirely new form of combat.
Yeah. But Xenoblade 2 is great. Like, the cutscenes have amazing fight choreography. The soundtrack is insane in how good it is. And the voice acting is hilarious.
That's so bad. But it's weird. The Xenoblades always have amazing music.
It's that level of bad that I adore it.
The localization, the actual technical localization, like the subtitles and stuff, are bad. Nintendo really has no excuse for like not figuring out subtitles for ambient dialogue. That's weak. And Breath of the Wild has the same problem. If you switch into Japanese, which you can do, the ambient dialogue is again not translated, which again weak. You're Nintendo. This shouldn't be a problem.
Actually, that's the reason it's a problem. It's Nintendo.
Look, they can't fit it on their Memory Stick Pro Duos.
Yeah, Nintendo is a weird company where it's like, if a technological advancement happens, there's a 50-50 chance Nintendo just will refuse to acknowledge it exists forever.
Yeah.
It's called netcode, and that's 100% chance.
But yeah, I think this is good news.
Yeah, I think this is good news.
The Zelda game's likely going to be the same as the other one, just more of an open world type of thing, because that's what the Monolith soft games are. They make really large areas.
I really hope it's like the equivalent of Majora's Mask, where it's just a little bit smaller and is more. It's just like has a once over for some of them,
and it's hammered out in a weekend.
Just has some of the things ironed out.
Yeah, I think any radical new design for a game franchise deserves more than one take at it, so that way you can get the polished version of that.
And I really liked Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
So I'd like more of that.
It's an excellent game, and I'm looking forward to Nintendo announcing the 4K console-only Switch, so that way I can finally play that game.
You don't have time to play it.
You know what? I'll make this promise right here, right now. If Nintendo makes a fucking 4K capable Switch, I will make the time and we will do a Let's Play. I promise you this.
You'll do a Let's Play? That's a lot of production. I think it'd be easier if you just sit me down and we just do a 40-hour stream straight of just doing all of the.
I mean, really, you can beat it in a couple hours.
Yeah, I could beat it in like 2 fucking hours, you guys. But yeah, you're right. We should just do it as a stream. Clearly, that's way more sane.
You're right. Donkey shake.
Oh my god. Feel there's more news. Run. Go to it.
Okay. Yacht Club. That new game Yacht Club is publishing got revealed. It's called Cyber Shadow. It looks kind of like a fusion of the NES Ninja Gaiden games and Strider, except unlike either of those games, it looks good.
The weird thing is, I've been following this game for like years. So then them announcing they're publishing is crazy to me.
I mean, Yacht Club's got money,
right?
They made the same game 5 times. I'm not complaining, and they made a lot of money off of it, and I'm really glad.
Is it 5 times?
How many are we up to?
4 times.
Is it 4?
Yeah.
The last one will be 4.
Okay.
Yeah, because there are only 3 nights.
Okay.
You could count it as 5 because of the multiplayer if you want.
That doesn't count.
It's all the same game because these were all Kickstarter stretch goals.
So then it only counts as 1.
Oh
yeah.
my god.
But how many times has it been
Dan's
re-released?
just completely wrong.
I saw a lot of people saying, man, Yacht Club needs to move on. Like, I see all these like professional games media podcasts saying they should just move on to making new games. It's like, no, they should do what they were paid to do, actually.
Yeah, they should do what they were paid to do. And also, all those games have entirely different gameplay mechanics, which is obviously giving them more experience with all kinds of different gameplay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, each time it's really good.
Yeah, they get to focus on fucking mechanics instead of focusing on redoing a completely new art style and everything from the ground up.
I'm so... Dan, iteration is for idiots and the Japanese. I can only be satisfied if a franchise changes completely entry to entry, so it's never polished, and the fans are constantly pissed.
And yet, somehow, that description totally fits Assassin's Creed on both ends, where it's just iterating the same fucking thing, but it never fucking works!
Input lag.
So I see some more news. We're almost done.
So, Larian, I think that, or Larian, I don't know how to pronounce the studio name.
Lawrence.
Yeah, I don't know what this is.
Larian Studios is making a direct sequel to Divinity Original Sin 2, which was a pretty good RPG. It's
what?
It's not an RPG like Divinity Original Sin 2 was. It's like a weird fusion of XCOM and the combat system from that game.
What?
What?
I didn't see any of
now.
this. You're blowing my fucking mind.
It was just announced today, I think. Where they're making a sequel. It's like a weird XCOM thing. It has like a airship as your hub, so I imagine it'll be something like a weird fusion with more emphasis on the combat.
That's weird.
It looks like they're trying to refine the combat because you could do some clown shoes shit in Divinity Original Sin 2, like stand outside a boss room and teleport the enemies out one by one and just brutalize them.
True.
Until there was only one enemy left inside the room.
Yeah.
Did Steve do that, Dan?
Yes, Steve absolutely. Okay, so my brother loves breaking everything over his fucking knee. His D&D character was so overpowered that the DM got pissed and smote him. Hell yeah, he did that in Divinity too. You kidding me? That's why he loves that game. Okay, and Phil, I will lightly lead into the next bit of news here. Ys 9 was announced. They showed off a bit of stuff, and I made a tweet. It was a joke. It was a lighthearted joke, but apparently everyone thought it was very serious and had some real ass opinions. I did not see the monster people coming for Ys. I did not see that coming, and that was the whole point of that tweet.
East 9 got announced a while back. This is just them finally showing stuff of it because they showed silhouettes before.
Yeah.
So we've gotten our first look at East 9 Monstrum Nox, which is going to have a really cool story. The story is basically Adel Christin, the protagonist of East, has pissed off the Roman Empire a couple times too many, which happens in the previous games. So apparently they just fucking jump him and ship him off to their prison colony, where they send what are effectively X-Men mutants, which is what are all these characters.
Yeah.
And it is tied to, it's exactly where I hoped they would go, where it's like, we don't have to be on the Vita anymore, so our game is a good-looking PS2 game with really good lighting, and it's enormous and open.
Yeah, the gameplay they were showing last week showed a lot of like flying over a city.
Yeah, because the gimmick is going
to
be that the last couple East games have had a thing where your party members have different damage types, so you have to switch which one you're controlling for certain enemies, like the one with a hammer you use on crabs, and the one with a gun you use on birds. But since they don't seem to be doing that this time, just from what I can see from the art, because there's not like a gun character and an axe character and a spear character. There's like a lot more sword characters. So I think what might be, because they said this time that your party members will be tied to traversal abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Like the white cat character they showed can run up walls.
Yeah.
And another character they showed can glide.
Yeah.
And Adel, I don't know if he loses his arm or if it's just a glove. He gets the fucking Devil Bringer, and he can do snatch and pull himself up to
everyone's getting new arms. Everyone.
Well, he had to turn to an animal person somehow.
Even Mario announcing Mario Odyssey 2.
Hey, just wait until you see Deacon St. John with his new arm halfway into Days Gone.
Okay, but Dan, Dan,
We will get into major discussions on it during the Days Gone spoiler cast.
Mario gets a new power-up that just gives him the arms from ARMS.
I want to see
That would be neat.
that cutscene near the beginning of Sekiro where he gets his arm chopped off, but with Mario.
By the way, you know how you can beat Urizen in Devil May Cry 5 and you get an alternate cutscene and unlock the next difficulty?
Yeah.
You can beat that boss in the opening of Sekiro.
Oh no.
You know what happens?
What do you get the
Fuck you. That's what happens. A guy you get the exact same cutscene, except somebody throws a shuriken at you, which distracts you so you can get your arm cut off.
Oh my god, that's great.
It's literally like a bad DM going, no, you lose. I'm not owned. It doesn't matter that you rolled a 20. You lose.
So you're liking the Ease 9 designs. KZ, what are your thoughts on this?
They've had their designs have been going this route, Falcom's, for almost a decade. So this is just a continued refinement of their really nice style that I'm a big fan of.
I looked at them and the designs they look cool. There's something I'm interested in. I haven't played much of the Ease series. I kind of looked into what the format and how Ease 8 plays, and it doesn't sound like something I want to play, but I'll look at 9.
I mean, East 9 is East 9 is just an action RPG. I mean, East 8 is just an action RPG.
Yeah, but I saw those like there's a lot of crafting and exploring and building up your area or something.
Kind of, but it's not really the focus. It's like you're on a stranded island, so there's no money, so you just trade stuff you pick up.
I heard the beginning is like a real slow burn.
No, I wouldn't really say that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a pretty great game, although you can't get it now because they didn't print any fucking copies.
Yeah, because I was afraid about that because I've already played through Trails and I can't deal with another one of those.
I mean, it's an action game, so you wouldn't be like, dude, this quest. There's no like, have 8 hours of country adventures at the start.
Okay. So if so long as the time to cool stuff is a little bit shorter.
But yeah, I think I like a lot of the early Ease games, but every time I check out gameplay of the newer ones, it just, and I tried that demo for 8, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
7 I think is not good, and the upgraded 7, Memories of Celceta, is okay, but they really didn't like nail the that kind of, it's amazing what being able to jump does to a game.
Yeah. So I think
Sekiro
I'm gonna
taught me that.
I'm gonna give Ys 9 a chance. Like I'm gonna try that when it comes out.
I'm gonna give that game a chance.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a chance. Just because I think it has the best chance of any of the recent Ys games of winning me over. Just because, like, even adding traversal stuff like that seems like a little bit extra nudge for me.
Yeah,
so
that stuff looks like fun.
It looks neat. Yeah, yeah. So I'm
just glad the plot is moving forward because Ys 8 was between Ys 5 and 6.
Yep.
Yep.
I find that shit hilarious.
I mean, and there is a really funny part where you're fighting the Kraken and Adel whips out the final boss sword from Ys 5 and then drops it in the ocean and it's just gone forever.
What? Okay, that is hilarious.
Oh, that's awful.
Listen, Dan, Adel gets a god-killing sword at the end of every game. They have to go somewhere.
This is his version of being Dante selling his devil art.
Like,
Yeah.
the thing that's so funny about Ys to me is that just like, imagine if every Zelda game was the same timeline and Link has just beaten the shit out of like 40 different deities at this point.
Pretty raw. But yeah,
All while being
hopeful.
a silent protagonist, which good.
I'm pretty hopeful for this. I guess that's all the news, right?
It looks cool. Yeah, it looks cool. I'll probably look at it once it's out and whenever that is.
Yeah. Yeah, they haven't even like implied when it's going to come out, have they?
The end of this year.
Okay. In Japan.
It was in one of those legendary Japanese live streams where they go, Ohio, and then they laugh a lot, and then they talk about shit you don't care about, and then they show you 15 seconds of gameplay.
Hey, there was shit I cared about. They revealed
Popularity
the
polls for Kaseki.
Yes, I cared about that because they also did a pairing popularity poll, and the top pairing by an order of like 5 times higher than the set number 2 was the protagonist of Trails of Cold Steel with his rival character, who, by the way, is a dude.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Big Thing Dimension. See you next week.
What about the
We gotta do that weak thing at the end. You fool! Absolute maroon. What are you doing this week, Dan?
Editing this podcast and nothing else.
What are you talking about? He's got to get this is coming out tomorrow, right?
Sure, sweetie.
We're doing
call me
that.
Sweet.
We've got a lot of things going on, and I'm announcing none of them. So please
That's
keep your
insane.
eye on the channel. There will be videos, and they're going to be pretty sick.
Oh yeah. Okay.
What do you have coming out, Casey?
For this week, I'm taking a break because the bouncer ended
That's good.
and DMC5 ended, and I am waiting on some art stuff for my next LP, which will be Tales of Vesperia, and I'll get that started within the next week. But aside from that, I'm just chilling out for a little
Good.
bit.
A lot of people don't realize how much YouTubers need to take care of themselves like that and give themselves breaks. So I'm really glad you're taking a break and not killing yourself.
Yeah, I'm still prepping another thing because we'll be starting like a Pokemon Nuzlocke series, but I want to bank a bunch of videos for that.
Hey, we're starting a Nuzlocke? Bob, did you make a deal with KZ?
Not me.
Oh, okay. It could be anyone.
It's yeah,
It could be Feel.
one of my good friends, PM.
Thank you for reminding me,
Aw,
Casey. I
shit.
have invented a new form of Pokemon run.
Oh, damn it. I just added another bit, Dan.
You know what the Nuzlocke is, where you can only catch the first Pokemon in any area, and if your Pokemon faints, you have to release it. I have invented a new version of that. I call it the Jiren Run. It's exactly like a Nuzlocke run, but you are forbidden from taking advantage of type differences. You may not use any super effective moves, because attacks that exploit weaknesses are not true strength.
Oh my god.
You have to have a chart just to know you're not going to do it. Jesus.
Yeah, it's complex.
I would suggest this to my friend PM I'm doing the Nuzlocke with, but that dude half the time doesn't know the weaknesses. So
Do it with sword and shield.
You have to use only normal type Pokemon.
I'm gonna approach him with this. He's gonna fucking hate it. He's gonna fucking hate it. What do you got going on this week, Phil?
Yeah, what does Feel?
Inventing that was all I did.
He's peaked. I mean, that's fair.
it.
We got some great podcasts coming out next week. Keep your eye out for podcasts and videos. We're going. Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Big Think Dimension. This show, like our other podcasts, is only possible with the generous time our co-hosts have given to us and the equipment we've bought to make it higher quality and easier to produce. Please consider supporting our podcast series on our GigaBoots Podcast Patreon and look forward to more gamer premonitions and Big Think Dimension in the future.